Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning to all of you out there. It's the final one of November 2024, and my co-host Ed Young with his dog over there is probably thinking, I hope it's the last one to do with this nut job. But hey, it's a great day. It's sunny outside. Enjoy life. Thanksgiving. I know Ed got plenty of turkey in his belly, stuffing, cranberry sauce. He had all kinds. He had all the pies. He had all the cakes. He had all the desserts. And we're here to talk everything in the world of sports with you, local, high school, college, and pro on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. When the coach says, I'll be ready to do the show in 35 seconds at 10 a.m., you know it's going to take him 10 minutes and 46 seconds to get his computer figured out. That's why we are tardy today, folks. It's not because of me. I was ready at 9:30, got the breakfast, got the muffins, got everything I needed, the bagels, juice, water, don't drink coffee. It's the other guy who was fashionably late. It's his middle name. We've taken out Vincent and made it Edward Late or Tardy Young. There you go. You prefer late or tardy? What do you prefer?
Today I was tardy. Thank you for the computer geniuses out there. I have no idea why I had to go to different rooms in the house for it to work. And I don't understand why. It's a small house, only like 400 square feet. I don't understand why one room is better than another. But I'm back in the study.
Do we blame that on the Suffolk internet connectivity? Do we blame it on that? Because I know you get mad at your TV every now and then for going in and out.
I don't even want to get it. Spectrum, I probably shouldn't announce it. Spectrum, I'm going to look for something better. Anybody out there that has something better, let me know. Spectrum sucks.
You can't get Fios?
I don't know if Fios available in this area. I'm going to check.
Right. I mean, back in my home, I'm in the mansion right now, as you see my studios. But Ed, you know, you can always get streaming. What's wrong with streaming?
That's what I'm doing. I have streaming.
Well, you could do a different streaming. Why don't you get YouTube TV? We are on YouTube on Cova Sports TV every week.
Does it cost? How much does it cost?
Well, everything costs in life. You don't.
That's the problem right there. Let's stop right there.
You just want free stuff.
Too many things cost in this world. They got to stop all these costs. There's no need to be spending money for TV service. It should be free.
No, it doesn't work that way. Things are a la carte. Did you pay to watch the Chiefs and Raiders yesterday on Amazon Prime with Al Michaels, Albino, and Kirk Herbstreit?
I got that on my automatically. I do streaming. It came on.
You get that for free. See, I have to pay if I want to watch it, which I didn't pay to watch.
Well, you should. You make big money. You should be able to do that.
I was watching high school games on the NFHS network. So
I'm on retirement. I get $116 a month. I can't be spending money on streaming and all that other.
You want everybody to feel sorry for you. I
don't need nobody to feel sorry for me. I just need things to be a little bit more free. After you get to my age in this world, that you should be able to get things free. So, and by the way, the Raider game, I don't know who's going to coach the Raiders next year, but if they got to get some, and it better not be the dude from the Bears. I mean, it's time for a timeout. He's going around in circles, looking around. Then the quarterback checks off the play and throws a bomb in the middle of nowhere. You know, I'm the last.
Enjoyed that finish. Sorry, Dino. I enjoyed that finish. Watch the Bears go down.
It's just some of these NFL coaches.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not blasting.
Whoa. Don't make it about football coaches, because later on in the show, we've got a compilation of a basketball coach that I know Ed Young respects and admires dearly that people will get a real kick out of. That's coming later on in the program. And by the way, we do have a special guest that is scheduled to join us live at about 10:45 a.m. Eastern. That's 30 minutes from now. It is. If you synchronize your watches, that's Andy Linn, head football coach of the region, 3A champion, Lafayette, Rams, and Williamsburg. We had on Anthony Hawkins of Norcom on the Hash with Hatfield this week, and I was the jinx because they did not beat Lafayette. So we now bring on the winner. And if they don't advance and beat Kettle Run, who stunned Thomas Jefferson of Richmond in the final seconds with an interception at the goal line or in the end zone, it was TJ's driving to win it, maybe get a field goal to send it to OT. If they don't beat Kettle Run, we'll then blame it on Ed, not me. So that's how
I don't even want to go over the scores. I try to. Every game I think I went against you, I think I lost.
Oh, Derek says he's got the same internet as you. It goes out every night at 2 a.m.
Well, I'd rather have mine go out at 2 a.m. because I'm sleeping then. But mine goes out right in the middle of a game every time. And it's a good play. It's almost like somebody's watching and says, okay, right about now, hit the button. Now let's get Young, get them upset.
But you know what's the worst? I'm going to tell you what's the worst is if you're invested in a game. And you know what I mean by invested. Yeah. And it's coming down to the end. Hold on. It's coming down to the end, and you get one of those emergency alert systems. Oh, those drive me bonkers.
You can't do nothing with
those.
I
hate those. Yeah, you can't scream EAS, and it goes a little ding for about 25 seconds. And then when it's done, you missed everything that just happened. Those EAS alerts drive me bonkers.
You know what's crazy? And you know, I want to keep getting on this, but I had Spectrum, and I'm going to keep mentioning their name. This, and the technician himself, I won't give his name because I forget it anyways. You have the router from Spectrum, right? I said, yeah, I pay $5 a month for it on the bill. He says, well, I ain't supposed to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you, get rid of it. Go to Walmart or Amazon, buy one. It costs a little bit, but it'll save you. He said the ones that our company gives out are the worst in the business.
So you just gave out the dirty little secret. Look at you.
Gave out a dirty little secret.
Now that they watch this later and they know who you are, they've circled your address, your house, and your TV.
Oh, yeah, now I'll have nothing. Watch this go out in the middle.
It's going out before the show's over. Could you have waited until about 12:01 p.m. as we finished up the NFL picks? And by the way, first time I think in a long time, not all season, that you, me, and Bruce all had a winning week. We all were 2-1. How about that? So we generally tell the people responsibly put shekels down or responsibly listen to our picks. We say go the other way a lot of times. Well, you would have done all right if you listened to us last week for a change. Yeah.
Yep. I'm anxious to see. I'm wondering, who did I lose to?
I pull out the book here, and we'll go through it later in the final segment. You lost by half a point on Nick Senti's Minnesota Vikings. And by the way, little birdie told me that our man Nick from the Sportsplex and Cova Sports TV, Chuck Thornton, Nick Senti, Dennis McEwen, the three horsemen for us. We also got Jack Lowe and Ethan Simon, who helped us with our Neptune Bowl broadcast, which was a lot of fun last Saturday at the Plex and doing a live remote. But a little birdie told me that Nick is in Germany, by the way. You know that?
Man. Yeah. All right. That's some interesting stuff. He's in Germany. I wonder if he's a spy or something.
No, but he will.
Nick would make a perfect double agent.
Double agent, yeah.
He would. He'd be perfect for that.
Yeah. He could be casted in one of the next James Bond remakes since Pierce Brosnan's days are over as Agent 007. Are you ready to go through some of the high school football region championship?
Yeah, there are some crazy scores, some mild upsets. I don't know if there was anything that you would call major upsets, but in my book, there were some big upsets.
Big upsets in your book. Well, that's because you didn't pick them right. So we blame that on you and you alone for failing to get those properly signaled here on the program. There we go. It's zoomed in too much, or I should say too far out, and we will bring you the playoff results here in just a second as we bring them to you on the screen. And we'll start from the top down like we did last week, Class 6 on down to Region A. And let's fire up some music in the background with the football for you to get these scores as we go through the action with you across the 757 and all of VA here on 757 Saturday. Over Sports TV. Here we go, Edward. First game up on the board, you see it, the Region 6A final. Beard DeLong easily killed Oscar Smith after fourth region championship in 6 seasons as they are able to beat Highland Springs 28-7. They limit the Springers to 39 yards of offense in the first half. Get a really strong game on the ground from Brandon Nesbitt and Tajay Curtis, the duo combining for over 200 yards rushing. Defense was lights out. Highland Springs got a TD late to prevent what would have been their first playoff shutout loss since 2010, LC Bird. And it'll be Oscar Smith marching on to the next round in the high school football playoffs, that round being the state semifinals. Who will they see coming up? It's Colonial Forge, a game I checked out on the NFHS network on Friday afternoon. The number 6 seed Colonial Forge beating the number 5 seed in Patriot 42-14 as they got it done in that one. Big game for Colonial Forge's quarterback Brock Brimhall as he threw 4 touchdown passes, ran for another. Najee Mahid freshman for them, had a couple touchdown catches, as did Tayshawn Jones, and Colonial Forge was able to roll in this one against the Pioneers of Patriot. Now, Patriot was missing its standout running back, Jackson McCarter, once committed to Villanova, has now since has changed his college commitment to James Madison to play his college football. We'll tell you about a guy that was going to James Madison who just switched off his pledge to go to an ACC school later on in the Class 5 bracket. But Patriot moved the ball in this one, Ed, but Colonial Forge too much offensively. And how about this? It's the sixth time since 2013 that Colonial Forge will square off against Oscar Smith in the state playoffs. And each of the previous 5 encounters, Oscar Smith won. They won by 7 points or less in each of the last 3, which included an 18-16 escape in 2019, as well as a double overtime game before that. So they've had some close battles with Forge, but here we are. Oscar Smith, Colonial Forge, Chapter 6. Tigers trying to make it 6-0 in the series and get Coach Chris Scott to his 4th state championship at the helm of the Tigers, who have won 4 state titles before, 2 under Richard Morgan, 2 under Coach Scott.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think I went with Colonial Forge also.
You did?
But I think I had it much closer than this. I don't think I had 42-14.
Yeah, you did have it much closer.
You know, Colonial Forge comes up as the 6th seed, and this is one of those situations. Don't look at the seed. The seed is deceiving. It's a good. It's a team that's actually gotten better pretty much as the year went on, stronger, and then did what it had to do in the playoffs. Close scores, big scores. So they were able to win either way. So it's going to be an interesting game with Oscar Smith. And by the way, Oscar Smith, Highland Springs. I thought it'd be closer. I went back and forth on that pick. I finally did go with Smith because I won 7-5-7 to win it all. But I no way saw that score either. I mean, they just dominated in that game against a team that has a lot of weapons, that could put points on the board, has a lot of athletes. It's almost like, okay, we can't cover everybody, but we got to do something. We got to shut somebody down. They shut a lot of people down in that game.
And if you want some more sound from that game, by the way, we had a coverage for you on VirginiaPreps.com, the live blog. Our man Will Garlick was on the scene on the sideline getting photos, capturing the images for us. That'll be up later on the website. Plus, we'll give you some sound post-game interviews with Coach Chris Scott, Brandon Nesbitt, and quarterback Lonnie Andrews III, Lonnie, the Region Offensive Player of the Year, as well as Alvin Trey Jones, the wide receiver, going to Buffalo. That'll be coming up here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk and on the Hash with Hatfield next week to get you set for state semis. And you asked last week from the Plex, Ed, you wanted female correspondence, female comments. You got one from Mary here. Mary Harkins says it'll be Smith.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. We finally got some more females on here. Good job. She says Smith all the way. I'm not going to doubt that. Okay. Especially with the new ever-changing story with Hayfield. So
yeah, let's get to that. Hayfield withdrew. I had my comments on the Hash with Hatfield that aired yesterday on the program. And want to get your take on some of that here as we move it along. But it's going to be Fairfax and Lake Braddock today in the Occoquan Region 6C Championship. We both took Lake Braddock in this game a year ago. It was 39-20 in favor of Lake Braddock in this encounter. Hayfield is done. You might have some quick thoughts. I don't want you to spend a lengthy amount of time because we do have Andy Linn coming up in less than 25 minutes here on the show. But your reaction to the region final and a little bit of what happened with Hayfield, because Lake Braddock, by the way, had to play 2 games in a span of a week. Fairfax got the bye. So your take on all of that.
Again, we've talked a lot about this, and you did a great job on the Hash about it. The principal decides at the last second to have a guilty conscience and pull them out. Mm-hmm. At that moment, the next day, here's what I think should have happened. The powers to be in the district should have reseeded. It should have been Fairfax against West Springfield. Let Lake Braddock, the number 2 seed, have the bye, not the number 4. And then we'll go from there. Now, just so happens Lake Braddock, the number 2, is in the final against number 4. When Hayfield pulled out with all that mess, and we've talked about it, you got to try to do what's fair at that point. That's what I would think would be fair at that point. What really bothers me is the teams that Hayfield beat, where are they at now? Because they're going to say they should have had a bye because this should have been all.
Well, Robinson, remember, they got left out. They were the 8th seed. They got pushed to 3-7. I disagree with this premise. If it was the start of the playoffs, I totally agree with you. But once you've played games, I don't like then reseeding the bracket. You've already prepped for a certain team. I hate the fact that Fairfax just gets all this rest before they take on Lake Braddock today. Now, Mike Doherty's team's got a pretty good offense, wide open. They can spread you out, and I think they'll be okay. But I think in an ideal world, what you're saying is right, but we don't live in an ideal world.
No, we don't. And it's proven every day we don't. But we have to live in a righteous world, what is right. Because of a unique situation, therefore, you reseed. I don't want to hear about, well, we got to prepare for this team, whatever. You do what is right. Forget about anything that is going on. But my whole thing is that the Hayfield situation should have been fixed a long time ago. And it wasn't. And now all of a sudden, the principal has this righteous bug up his butt about, I'm going to pull them out of the way. It doesn't work for me.
Let us know, is Ed Young a righteous dude?
I'm as righteous as righteous can be. Because if you're not righteous, how are you going to be leftist? Think about that. It's a Youngism.
It's a Youngism.
I am righteous. This dude over here is leftist.
There you go. Coop Smith's the beast, says Mary, number 52. Let's move back to the region playoff brackets here. As you see on the screen, they don't see our pretty faces, but I don't think they care about seeing our pretty faces as long as you can hear me, Ed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, they don't need to see our faces, and sometimes we don't need to hear your voice, but continue.
All right, continue on. You want to go down to 6D since we touched on 6C there? You've got Madison and Washington Liberty today in the Region 6D bracket championship game. Madison is taking on an undefeated WL team that is actually playing Ed in this round of the playoffs for the first time in a long time. You have to go all the way back to 1975. They've got some pieces. John Malatesta, Offensive Player of the Year. Benny Hughes, Defensive Player of the Year in the Liberty District. His older brother, Elijah Hughes, plays for Southern Cal, who takes on your Fighting Irish today of Notre Dame out in sunny California. But Dominic Nicely for Madison is mighty, mighty good. We've talked about him all year long. He once was committed to Coastal Carolina. Actually was going to go to Boston College. He's now reopened his recruitment. No telling where he's going to end up, but he's accounted for this season more than 1,400 yards from scrimmage to go with almost 400 yards in special teams and 2 touchdowns, a total on the season of 24 touchdowns just entering the playoffs alone. So he's really good. We both have Madison in this game, and I think we feel like with what's remaining in the field, we're down to the final 6. Smith, Forge, the 2 and 6 seed with Fairfax Lake Braddock, as well as Madison, Washington, Liberty. I feel like Madison and Smith are on a collision course at this point. They played before in a state championship that Oscar Smith won convincingly at Old Dominion. It feels like those two are going to play. And I'm not sure it's a big advantage for either side. It feels like it's almost a toss-up type of game. What's your sentiment right now as we sit here?
First of all, in the Region D, Class 6 Region D, you have perfect scenario. You have 1 and 2 all the way to the final, and they're both undefeated. Now, let me ask you, is this the only matchup of, and I know there's a lot going on, of all the teams left in the state that these two are undefeated playing each other? No,
not a region final. We had a couple of different instances that we'll highlight, though. But it was not the only one. It's a good question. It's a fair question. And we talked about last week at the end of the show, if you remember, towards the end of the show, we highlighted the fact that we had a total of 7 rematches from regular season games with Patriot, Colonial Forge, Green Run Salem, Phoebus Hampton, which takes place today at Darling Stadium in Hampton for the Region 4A crown, William Byrd, Lord Botetourt. You have Graham and Union today in the Region 2D final, Essex Rappahannock in the Region 1A final, and Rye Cove Eastside in the 1D championship, which we'll get to the result of that coming up. But we did have at least one change in result, which I think we talked about last week, where there'd be 1 or 2 different outcomes. There was already one there, but Madison and WL will be squaring off in that 6D championship today. Let's go to Class 5 because there was some excitement in Class 5, and that involved the Green Run Stallions and the Salem Sun Devils. Another Salem was in action, the Salem Spartans from out west. We'll get to that a little bit later, Ed. But Green Run got the lead 7-0. It was answered by a Salem touchdown. This was a good back-and-forth game. And wouldn't you know, there would be some tricky outcomes in this game as the lights would go out. Someone didn't pay the bill. I wonder if Ed Young was supposed to pay that electric bill. The lights went out early in the fourth quarter. It was tied at 14. But then with 9:43 to go, once the lights were restored, I think it was 10, 15, 20 minutes later, Tristan Williams, known for his prowess on defense, breaks off a 53-yard touchdown run. In the final seconds, pass is incomplete in the end zone for Jason Scooter Williams, and Salem's bid to knock off the Stallions ends. It's Green Run prevailing 21-14. Remember, they lost 13 in a row in this series from 2011 to 2021. Brandon Williams' team now has won 7 straight, and they will get a date with the Maury Commodores, who you'll see on the screen here in just a moment. They were victorious in their Region 5B championship, 38-14 over Kings Fork. We'll hit on that in a moment. But we talked about last week at length, how do you slow down Jaden Anderson for Green Run? He's such a weapon for them. Well, early in the game, 60-yard touchdown pass for the Virginia Tech recruit on a swing pass from the UConn commit, Kassan Farrar. Willie Moore had a good game running the football, the area's leading rusher. Better running game than in the first encounter back in October when Green Run won by a rout. In fact, Willie Moore in this ball game, one of our recent Chicho's Pizza 757 football players of the week, had 123 yards and 2 touchdown runs on 24 carries. So Salem had a good game plan. They tried to keep him off the field, but Green Run pulls it out. Sounded like the game was one that lived up to the hype.
Yeah. First of all, I found out what happened about the lights. And this is crazy because we know him well. We love him dearly. Mr. Kenny Harris, the basketball coach at Green Run, while eating a slice of pizza, walking across the yard, tripped over the doggone cord and pulled the cord out of the wall.
Is that what happened?
The lights went out. Yeah, Harris wasn't paying attention, eating his pizza, tripped over the cord, and then,
So it's his fault. Come on, man.
Yeah, Kenny Harris. Yeah, you got to blame it on Mr. Harris. Eating the pizza.
I thought it was the electric, but he didn't pay the bill. I thought that's what happened.
No, Harris tripped over the cord.
It's Harris's fault.
Yeah.
Well, they should make him run laps or something, shouldn't they?
That could be dangerous for Mr. Harris.
That's true. That's true. Wow. I mean, if all the times that he could have done that, like on another day when there was nobody playing. This is bad timing by him. Ugh.
Well, it's our buddy. I mean, it's what it's what he does. He eats pizza and he trips over cords.
He can be our buddy, but when he does something like that, he's your buddy, not my buddy. I'll say that.
Well, that's a whole nother story. This game, the story of this game, I thought would be much higher scoring. We know Green Run points on the board, yes. And Salem, towards the end of the year, was putting points on the board. Now, in the playoffs, they had the game against Bayside, as you see, was only 14-7. But I'm attributing a lot of that to John White and the crew over there at Bayside for doing some things. And I think Salem took them a little bit lightly.
Because they beat him pretty handily in the regular season, correct? Yeah.
Right. And then here comes Deep Creek. And I thought this would be a close game.
Yeah, you picked Deep Creek.
And picked Deep Creek and lights out in a different way, 42-3. So I thought, okay, trying to look at the scenario here. Green Run 35-0. Then Green Run in a tough one, overtime, 22-19 against an Indian River team that took them down last year. I said, you know what? I think we're looking at a game in the 30s, a potential game in the 30s, but I would think Green Run would still pull it out. And what do I see? 21-14, much closer. I'm not reading into it either. I mean, both teams have gotten better all year. Green Run started off right off the bat good. Salem stumbled a little bit, had to really put some gas in the tank to get it going, but they did. But again, the outcome now is Green Run is going to get what they have wanted all year, a shot at Maury. And you be ready because everybody's wanted a shot at Maury, and you've already seen what has happened.
Yeah, they have, and that's a very dangerous thing. Let's get to that Maury Commodores matchup with the Kings Fork Bulldogs game that was tied, Ed, at 14 apiece in the first half, in the second quarter. A really good job in game plan and preparation for this matchup by Anthony Jofrion and his Bulldogs. In fact, Maury struck first early in this football game, took a 7-0 lead, 38-yard touchdown pass from Torrey Newkirk, the reigning Class 5 state player of the year, to LeBron Bond. It's LeBron Bond, Indiana commit, 7-0. But coming right back are the Bulldogs, a 77-yard drive on 8 plays. DeAndre Artis-Boone, 7-yard TD run. The quarterback for them, who also doubles as a defensive back, Tayshawn Branch, sophomore tailback for Maury, who had 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, answers, 14-7 Commodores. But then Jamel Mackey takes a pass, 46 yards to the house from Artis-Boone. Jean-Pierre Belay, his PAT, makes it 14-all, and we got ourselves a ball game. But then a touchdown catch from Branch, 70-yard drive, 10 plays, breaks the tie, a minute and a half to go in the second quarter. And from there, the Maury defense took over as that pass rush led by Ari Watford, the Clemson commit, Carlton Smith, the Maryland commit at linebacker, Leslie Hines, and others did the job. Kings Fork in the second half, just 11 yards of offense, 1 first down, and they end up pulling away to the Commodores on Newkirk's efficient night. 17 of 21, a $147, no INTs, didn't air it out, but he took what the defense gave him, 38-14 Maury. And believe it or not, Edward, it is the closest game for Maury since the season opening triumph over Wise of Maryland. Remember, they had to survive a pass in the end zone that almost was a touchdown to win that one, 20-14 against the 6-time Maryland State champion Pumas from up there north of, not the border, but north of the Commonwealth, I will call it. So Maury now 13-0. And we'll show you what happened in CD in a second, but there's your state semifinal matchups. Maury will host Green Run next Saturday at Powhatan Field in Norfolk. Your reaction to what transpired in that game? Kings Fork hung with them, but we say that and Maury still wins it by 24.
Yeah, I mean, that it goes to show. You're telling me closest game since the first game of the year. You're looking at a 24-point win. Some people consider that a blowout because it's going to take you, 4 scores to win. It just proves how good Maury is. Kings Fork, a very physical team, has had another great year for them, and I know they were looking forward to playing Maury also, and they got their shot. And they very respectable first half, respectable game, but extremely respectable first half, tying it all up. But Maury is just who they are. I mean, you're going to have to play your best game, and still hope they play their worst game. And then you're going to have pretty much all the 50-50 calls go your way. And you're going to need some luck in it. That's how you're going to beat Maury. And that's too much worried about things you don't have control over. And that's could be a deadly combination when you don't control your own destination.
Let's go to a quick question from Bill Walcott out there. We thank Bill for chiming in on Facebook. With Gloucester leaving the Peninsula for the Bay Rivers District, that will leave the Peninsula District the opportunity to play 2 non-conference games. Do you think there's a possibility of Maury and Phoebus scheduling a game? Good question. It's a new cycle. Would like to see it. They have done a benefit game scrimmage the last couple of years at Powhatan Field in Norfolk. I know Jeremy Blunt and Doreen McCain both respect each other's programs, and I could see that happening in the future. It would be neat to see for the 757, Ed. We saw Phoebus play Oscar Smith for a couple of years. Maury's played great competition. I'll put it this way. I don't think either guy is running from the other.
No, this would bring up the possibility. Neither of those teams will shy from tough regular season games. As you say, they played a benefit game. So it could happen. And with Gloucester moving out to the Bay Rivers, it's going to open up for a lot of people to get that extra game, which has always been an issue in the beach and also in the peninsula, is we don't really get a chance to play a couple non-conference games like Eastern Region can do that. I mean, Maury, you saw what Maury played in their unbelievable beginning of the season schedule. So, yeah, it could be both would go at it. I could see that. And how do you fix, where's it going to be played? Well, 1 year we go to Maury, 1 year we're playing Darling Stadium. So you can do that. Or, which I really wouldn't feel good, you pick a neutral place. But I don't think that's needed. I think they would probably agree on a 2-year play home and away and go from there.
Yeah, I think it's something that could happen. I think it's got some potential, and it would be neat to see if it does come to fruition. We shall see. But we thank Bill for chiming in with us, and we'll go back to the brackets now before we take a time out here. 5C and 5D. I'm trying to fire up the interview that our man Robert Edmonds did with one of the Briarwood Stands, but we might not have it for you today. We do apologize. It'll be up on VirginiaPreps.com, and so I'm sure people like to check it out, especially fans we've got watching all over the globe, not just in the 757. LC Bird, a winner over William Fleming, 10-7, Ed. And I love one of the guys that made the big play for LC Bird. He had not one, but I believe 2 interceptions. We're talking about Sir Paul Cheeks. What a great name, Sir Paul Cheeks. 80-yard pick six before halftime. It gave the Skyhawks just enough to hold off the host Colonels of William Fleming. And that's a win for Lloyd C. Bird. Have you heard? Bird is the word. They're marching on to the state playoffs. Not a total shocker, though, because we thought back in the summer when I got to look at them actually in the spring at the Philip Sims 7-on-7 event at Princess Anne with a new quarterback who's headed to Buffalo and Jason Wright. How about that? Buffalo commit, and they've also got a wide receiver from Oscar Smith and Alvin Trey Jones. But this team could be formidable. They brought back some of the staff from the David Bedwell championship years when they won a three-peat in the earlier 2000s. This team's for real, and their defense was able to ball out the entire postseason, holding 3 teams to 16 or less that are quality squads with winning records.
Yeah, I think I went to go against you. I think I took Fleming.
Oh, you did 20-17, and I had 20-17 Bird, but we were pretty close, just a little bit more in the terms of the scoring than what there was actually.
My main reason for doing it was I got to do it to try to catch you. which is now impossible because I'm way behind. But not to disrespect Bird, I just thought I thought maybe Fleming was undervalued as the season went on with even though they had a great record. But Bird pulled it out in a close one. Basically throughout this regional playoff, all their games were close. Beat Hermitage by was it 10 there, but it was close. Then a 1-pointer, then a 3-pointer. So, it goes to show they can play in a close game, and their defense is very tough.
You see the 5D final before we take a timeout and bring in Andy Linn of the Lafayette Rams Region 3A champs. You see Briar Woods, a winner, Ed, over Riverbend 32-15 as they got back William Trey Dudley, running back linebacker who once was committed to James Madison, now headed to Syracuse. Brady Carmichael at quarterback found his stud receiver Colin Capistrant more than a couple of times through the air. And Riverbend had a really good year behind JoJo Thomas, who ran for almost 2,000 yards, but the lack of a passing dimension hurt them in this game. They got behind. They only attempted a couple passes last week in their win over Stonebridge, and then when you get behind against a team like Briar Woods, it's hard to catch back up.
And I got behind because I took Riverbend again to try to go against you. I thought, okay, this would be just go with a number 1 seed. But Briar Woods, anywhere else, Briar Woods could be a number 1 seed. And you were talking about them all year long. I just didn't want to believe it. I said, Riverbend will pull this out. And no, that's not going to happen. And you're right. You get behind a team like that and you don't throw the ball much or well, it's pretty much you're done.
Yeah, pretty much you are done. Coming up next here on Cova Sports TV, it's 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're streaming all over the web on VirginiaPreps.com, as well as X, or Twitter as they call it, IG, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's also available to listen to on Apple and Spotify. We've got the head football coach of the Lafayette Rams, another region championship for them. It was a tight battle at halftime, but their running game got going, and so did the excellent defense. We'll be joined by the coach of those Rams, 33-6 victors over the Norcom Greyhounds. They'll take on Kettle Run, who beat Thomas Jefferson of Richmond 35-32 in a whale of a Region 3B final. Liberty Christian also moving on to the state playoffs in Class 3, as is William Byrd, who survived a double overtime classic with Lord Botetourt. We'll tell you about the Class 4 pictures, Class 2 and Class 1 as we move along on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Let's take a quick timeout and come back with Coach Linn right here on this edition of the show. Now this from John's Tax Service.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. You need John Maynard. PFP, LUTCF, EA, all those initials behind his name mean he's qualified to work on your taxes. He's an ATA, accredited tax advisor. He's an ATP, accredited tax preparer. He's a fellow at NTPI, the National Tax Practice Institute. And if all that weren't enough, he's also been voted the best of Norfolk and the best of Virginia Beach Awards. John Maynard has been professionally trained in tax preparation and representation. He brings to the table over 30 years' experience in federal and state returns. He delivers personalized, one-on-one service, and he's a certified electronic filer. The IRS likes electronic filers. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service, 455-6763.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
Well, how do you offset an evil basketball coach? You bring on a successful championship-winning football coach. He's the head man of the Lafayette Rams, a winner 33-6 over the IC Norcom Greyhounds on Friday night at Warner Stadium in Williamsburg. Andy Lynn's team 13-0 and now 2 wins away from another state championship. They'll be taking on Kettle Run in the state playoffs coming up next Saturday in the semifinal round. Coach, good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving, belated here. Had to be a sweet win to celebrate with your guys last night.
Well, I mean, we just celebrated knowing we got one more to go after this. I don't think we did anything big celebrating. You know, we've got a goal.
You there, Coach? We lost you for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you were breaking up. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, hold on a second. Let me see that. Maybe you can hear me better outside. I don't know.
We can. It's a little bit better outside.
You guys got all this fancy stuff right now. Yeah. I said, well, we didn't do much celebrating. We know we got 2 more to go, so we were just proud of the way we played. Probably played the best all-around game last night, so we're peaking at the right time.
Sure. Now let's get to a couple of the guys that stood out for you. Your defense is just fantastic from every layer, which I'm sure Ed will hit on with you here coming up here, defensive line to linebackers and secondary. But how about Tyree Wilson? You mix it up in your wing T attack. Last night, if I read it correctly, 241 yards rushing on 26 attempts. Heck of a game by him.
Yeah, and he's our backup fullback. So, we haven't had Breon for a couple weeks, Breon Stokes. We haven't had him. He had a high ankle sprain, so we haven't had him for a couple weeks. And we piecemealed him a little bit last week, but he couldn't go. He tried first snap last night, couldn't go. And then Tyree went in and just ran the ball real hard like we were asking him to do.
Ed, 240-plus yards from a backup fullback. It sounds like that's what your Raiders need to get going.
When you say a backup is playing in that way, so many teams out there, Andy, would just kill to have something like that. And congratulations on that. And I'm smiling as a coach myself that we can never fully celebrate what we just did when they got things in front of us, because we don't want to put the jinx on ourselves. And especially you with where you're at, because you've got those teams in front of you could put a whooping on you that you would never recover from. And the idea everybody wants to get a piece of you because you guys are obviously that good and trying to figure you out. I want to try to go. I know we talk about guys with handling the ball, throwing the ball. Give me your perspective on your line play, those guys in the trenches. I know you got guys going both ways more than likely, but give us some of those names and tell us some things about your line play.
Well, remarkably, I think we only have one lineman offensive, defensively going both ways, and that's Daniel Jackson. He was Defensive Player of the Year for the Bay Rivers District. He was All-State last year at tight end and defensive end. He's the guy that goes both. He's one of those guys that's probably one of our best blockers. But, we run the wing team. We're not very big. We go across the board. We've got Yanni Kokolis. And then we've got Anthony Consolo, who's all of 160 at left guard. And then we've got Graydon Wilson at center, who's also a backup. We lost our starting center the Pocosin week. And then on the other side, you got Andrew Buckley. He's an all-state guard, but he only weighs about 220 if he's lucky. And then we got all district tackle Mason Mills, who's all about 220. We're not very big. We were outmanned big time last night, but we get off the ball and we go after it. And then on the other side of the ball, in the trenches, you've got Breon, who's nose guard, and he's usually our starting fullback. He's a game record by himself. You got Daniel Jackson at one end, and then you've got Andrew Cook at the other end, who Peter Cook was the Defensive Player of the Year in the state last year, and that's his little brother.
Ed?
No, I'm glad we got to mention names, but when you said 160 on the line, I stopped breathing for about 20 seconds. At 160 on the line, it tells me that you value the quickness. Maybe some teams, it's everybody wants the bulk and the strength, but it sounds like you value quickness coming off the line, especially for what you guys run.
Yeah, we run the wing tee, which, it's a dinosaur. Everybody thinks it's antiquated. Nobody wants to play in it. They can't throw the ball. They just run the football. But we in Lafayette High School, we don't get many big kids, but this is why we stay with this offense: quickness off the ball, quickness pulling. You just need good, hard-nosed kids who you keep in the system. And once they've run the system, we really don't run a whole lot of plays, but we don't want to run 25 good plays. We want to run about 8. So that's our goal, and so far it's working.
Head football coach of the Lafayette Rams with us. Andy Linn, his team a winner 33-6 over Norcom. Our guest on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Go ahead, Ed.
Andy, I want to kind of sidetrack real quick as one of those questions from a basketball coach. I don't coach football, but I often wondered what I would do in coaching football. A lot of you guys do play, and I mentioned this earlier about playing guys on both sides. You mentioned you only have one lineman really going both ways. In high school football, because we don't see it in college and we definitely don't see it in the pros, of guys, any position going both ways. Of course, the young man at Colorado, Hunter, receiver, defensive back, he's very good in both. On the high school level, I understand you got to have your best players in the game, but I always thought you leave a kid in there, maybe he's good enough to be your best special teamer too, and now he's playing all three phases of the game. Do you have to worry about wearing a kid out if you're playing them a lot both ways? You might have some of your other, what I call the hands guys playing both ways. Do you worry about
I tell you what, Ed, I tell you what, we during the season, Ed, we try to play as many kids as we can during the season, so not to wear some of those kids out. But when you get to this stage in the game, you've got 2 more games. If the guy's one of your best guys on both sides of the ball, he's going to play both ways. There's no worrying about wearing them out now, but we do a really good job. We do a really good job during the season. Coach Wheeler in that defense, he rotates guys up front. He rotates guys in the defensive backfield. And then offensively, we rotate backs and as much as we can during the season, so nobody's worn out by this time.
And again, that's just a question I would come up with because, again, trying to put myself in that situation, I would try to get as many guys, and you just said it. It's why you win championships. Get as many guys as you can ready to play the different positions. And now come playoff, not only are you going to go with your best kids both ways, but if you need to give them a rest, those other kids have been playing. So it's not like, Lord, flip a coin.
Yeah, it's really paid dividends for us this year. Like I said, we lost Nate White at center against Pocosin for the year. We lost Josh Simpson at safety and wing to a dislocated shoulder against Pocosin. And then, Breon's been down his last couple. So we played without 5 starters the last 2 playoff games. And the kids that stepped in and played, like you said, we've had them in there in games all year long at certain times, so they're ready to go.
I got one more before I throw it back to Matt. Take us through what a week preparation. You just won. You've got a week coming up before you play again. Now compare this week as to what you guys will do in practice or whatever to maybe when you're going from the second game of the season to the third game or the third game to the fourth. Is the week the exact same, or where is the differences in preparation?
Good question.
Well, anybody who knows me, the week is exactly the same. The kids know what we're doing in practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll have Friday practice this week, but normally we play that game on Friday. I am a creature of habit. I want the kids to know what they're doing. If the kids aren't thinking, they're playing their best football. So everything will be the same as it was last week.
Now, is it more doing your little things in terms of what you guys do, or is it more geared towards the next opponent as to what they do?
To be honest with you, we don't gear a whole lot. I mean, of course, there's always strategy things to your next opponent, but we try to. I preach to them every week. If we can get our football team to be at its peak, the best it can possibly be, I think we can play with anybody.
Couple more for you, let you run here. We appreciate your time. Andy Linn, the head football coach of Lafayette, 152-22 overall at the helm of the Williamsburg School, which has certainly proven itself as one of the best in the state, regardless of classification, year in and year out. Coach, I know we talked about some guys that double, and you don't see as many, especially on the line, as you've had in years past, which keeps you fresh. But one thing that jumps out at me is you have a really good sophomore quarterback who plays linebacker for you as well, has 100-plus tackles, and we've seen you do that in the past. I remember a guy named Brendan McGinty for you, I think went to Penn.
Yes,
We've
sir.
seen Lake
Yes,
Taylor
sir.
do it with the championship run. Hank Slater had Shaheem Johnson, who did it, quarterback, linebacker, bulldog for him. Other coaches do it. Tell us about what he's meant to you, not just offensively, but defensively, as you've grown both the offense and the defense during this year.
Well, I mean, Baum is a sophomore, and he's grown up throughout the year. He's really taken a big hold of the wing tee. He's always been a quarterback who's kind of coming up through the ranks, middle school and all, like everybody, they're going shotgun, they're spreading it out, they're throwing it all over the yard. So it was a big adjustment for him, and to play quarterback at Lafayette's a big adjustment for anybody because we don't signal anything in. He's got to come talk to me between every play, and but he has grown throughout the year, and he's always been a really, really, really good linebacker. We started him on the outside, we moved him to a stack on the inside now, and he, Jameer Nesbitt, Brian Canada, and Logan Alexi on the other side. Those guys are all, for one, they're all juniors and sophomores, so they're all going to be coming back. But they've really firmed up Coach Wheeler's defense in the middle there because we graduated all those guys from last year. And then you take that defensive backfield of J.L. Love. Last night it was Cordell London, and then on the other side you got Nayron Hudson, and those guys all played in the state championship game last year. So the defensive from the front back, I mean, the defense has returned a bunch of guys, and Baum's one of those guys that goes both ways. I used to not let my quarterback play both sides of the ball, but he's too good not to.
And we get it for sure. And your defense giving up just 5.5 points per game. You also mentioned having Thad Wheeler, former head coach at War Hill, son of Paul Wheeler, who once coached at Lafayette. You got another former head coach, and Danny Dodson, your good pal, used to coach at Woodside on your staff. So you got a veteran, experienced staff for you. And defensively, coach, you've had some really good defenses over the years, but it feels like, and I haven't seen you guys in person several weeks back against Poquoson as well as against Grafton, this defense might have as much upside as any you've ever had. As you get ready for this matchup with Kettle Run, tell me about the defense. Do you feel like it's as good as any defense you've ever produced? And what's going to be the key to stopping what they do offensively? Because they're pretty balanced and versatile.
Right. I think the key will be preparation, of course. You gotta get yourselves ready for them. But yeah, I mean, we're as balanced. I mean, like I said, we've got players at every level. There's not a real weakness. But we want to play fast and physical, and Coach Wheeler's preparation for the week. Coach Dotson's got the defensive backfield. Coach Wheeler's got the linebackers. Coach Keppa's got the defensive line, and I do mingle in outside linebackers, but I only mingle. And those guys get them prepared to go, but they're fast. They run. They play physical. They know where they're going. Again, we try to make our defensive game plans as simple as we do our offensive game plans, so the kids can just run and play.
Last one for me, it's kind of a twofold question. A, do I understand it correctly? You're on the road for this game because they had the better power rating as opposed to the seed?
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap.
No, I'm hearing you. I was looking at it last night.
That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think they should switch it every year. When they can go up there and Kettle Run's beating Division V schools that ain't worth a hoot, and I don't get a chance to play any of them, it's a problem.
Right. Well, no, I'm with you because I'm sure Ed can follow up on this. Ordinarily, I'm cool with the power rating deciding it, but you were a 1 seed and they were a 2 seed. And I actually told you, I think
Correct.
back midseason, I thought you might be on a collision course with Thomas Jefferson of Richmond. And if they had a better power rating as a 1 seed and you was a 1 seed, I get it. But once you're a better seed, I would think that might overseed it, but it doesn't nowadays. So I'm not crazy about that. Yeah.
No, me neither. But hey, we're not going to cry over anything. We did it last year. We're going to go give it another run this year.
There you go. You went on the road and beat Brentsville District, and you went on to play Liberty Christian in the state final at Liberty. So, Ed, I think that's a rule that needs to be looked at, don't you, Ed? I think that should be changed.
Don't get me started on that kind of stuff. Andy took some words out of my mouth. And I understand you play up, you get points for doing that. But what people don't look real deep in is you could play a 6A who just does not have a good program, wins 2 games a year, and you're going to get points even if you lose. But if you would go down and play a 2A power that loses maybe 1 game a year, people say, what are you doing going down and playing them little teams? You're softening your schedule. That doesn't come into play at all, and that is a problem. You're a 1 seed, and I know. I don't know you personally, Andy, but I know you. It doesn't matter if you had to go play on blacktop. The way your program is, let's go play. But what it hurts is it makes your home-based fans got to go travel instead of come to the field there and watch a home game.
And when you're locked into a schedule, like now Gloucester's coming to the BRD next year, we're locked into a schedule. So we'll play 2 Division II schools in Poquoson and Bruton. And, Pocoson's a great-ass football team. They could play with a whole lot of people. I can tell you that right now. But you just don't get anything for them, and then you're going to be – there's a Kettle Run or whoever's playing, I don't know, somebody who's Division V who can't play football, and they're going to get a ton more points. You'll never catch them.
No,
well, see, Andy, right there, Andy's point there, you're playing at Poquoson, who you have to play because they're in the district. You didn't go out and chose to play. There's where the formula needs to be twerked a little bit because there's no way that you
tweaked that thing, not twerked. I think you meant tweaked.
Yeah.
I mean, I must be thinking of the wrong thing. I'm thinking of the wrong thing then.
Yeah, you are. But Ed talks about all the time, Coach, as we let you go here, that John Marshall's a great powerhouse in 2 in basketball, and you could take a 6, and it's not comparable. Pocoson's a class 2 in your district, as they went to Lake Taylor and won. You guys play schools in a 4 or 5, you can easily beat them. I'm not saying you definitely will, but you can. I think we get caught up too much in the classification levels, and that should be looked at for sure. I mean, and you have to go on the road last year. Yep. Well, hey, Coach, thank you so much. Congrats on another region championship. We know it's not done for you. And get one more win to go to the state championship, and we look forward to talking down the road.
I appreciate y'all. Y'all do a great job.
Thank you, Coach.
Good luck to you, Andy.
All right, guys. Thank you, man.
That's Andy Linn, head football coach of the Region 3A champion Lafayette Rams. I tell you what, I love his honesty when he said that's a bunch of crap. Listen, that's something you would say, Ed, and it feels like, and this is, by the way, that is no slight to Kettle Run. It could be the other way around. Kettle Run the 1 and Lafayette the 2, and you might feel that way. But the power rating can be enhanced by they might be the team that has 8-9 wins and they play a certain schedule. It's skewed that way. So I hear his feeling on it, and he had to go last year to Brentsville. So that'll be a rallying cry all week long. You can tell from his kids. And that was a will of a game with Kettle Run and TJ, but they shut down Norcom, who was putting up over 30 points per game, holding to 6 last night. It's a heck of a job by his defense and with some guys out in that lineup for him as well.
Well, again, and I'm not going to put Kettle Run down.
No,
they do what they have to do. And they know it's going to be a tough game with Lafayette. But again, I'd rather have my games at home than on the road. When people say, "Oh, it don't matter where we play," I always say, okay. If it doesn't matter, then come to me all the time. If it doesn't matter. But you always hear people say, "Oh, no, wait a minute." So they change their tune. But that's one thing the Virginia high school needs to look at. If you're a 5A and you got 2s and 3s in your district or 4, it doesn't matter. But if you're playing teams that are smaller than you should not be penalized because you have to play them. It's when you have to go out and schedule, and then somebody's trying to pick a lot of lower level teams, maybe that don't have good records that are good programs, because there's a difference between a good record, good program, good team, good program, that they shouldn't be penalized for that in their own district. It just shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, and both teams are undefeated, so it's going to be a great state semifinal in Class 3. Really well-coached teams. Charlie Porterfield does an awesome job at Kettle Run. They're year in and year out in contention. They were in the Class 4 state championship just a couple years back. I think they lost to Verina, if my memory serves me right. I'll go back and look it up. Meanwhile, Lafayette, they were in the state championship last year, and they're doing it once again with a really, really good team. They don't have maybe the Power 5 level recruits, but they have some players that will play Division I college football, FCS. A lot of kids will play to the next level, and they do an awesome job over there. So, and it was, in fact, no, it wasn't. I said Verina. It was Dinwiddie they lost to in 2022 for Kettle Run in the state finals. Had a slip up there. But we'll take a timeout and come back with more. We'll go through the Class 4 and Class 3 pictures as well as Class 2 and Class 1. Show that state semifinal bracket again for Class 5 as we go to break here. Ed, we'll go a quick little look at that. Class 5, I want you to get your take as we go to break here. What's the better matchup, Green Run Maury or Briarwood's LC Bird? And are we going to slight the Bird Briarwoods communities like we did a little bit with the Colonial Forge Patriots? And that was a region final game, and the Highland Springs Oscar Smith was a state semi. Is that your sense on this? That's like the state championship, Green Run and Maury, because they're both 13-0?
Yeah, the first thing you're going to look at is, 2 undefeated. That should be the championship game.
Right.
But and we're biased because they're both 7-5-7, and we know how really good they are.
Well, we are, but we aren't. As I would tell you this, again, why don't we in the future, they're going to cross bracket for other classifications, and I think it might start for next year for 5, but you would say, okay, Maury might host a Bird and Green Run host a Briarwoods, or vice versa. Maury host Briarwoods and Green Run host a Bird. You would think that would be the better way to have this in the final 4 rounds. And that could also be applicable for Lafayette and Kettle Run not to play each other in Class 3, going back to that conversation piece. I'd like to see, I know you do too, when we get to the final 4 level, let's kind of reseed them to 1 through 4. Give me the best power rating and record or resume against the 4th best, and then 2 and 3 kind of play, right?
Yeah, I don't like predetermined setups. I really don't. Reseed it, and people say, well, Maury and Green Run are undefeated, but are they that much better than Bird and Woods just because Bird Woods lost 3 games?
And I'd say the same thing if it was Briarwoods and Bird at 13-0. I'd rather see those 2 play in the championship.
That was going to be my point. To me, it's going to be my point. It does. Yeah. You reseed it because I'm sorry, and Briarwoods and Bird people, if you're listening, sorry, but I'm going to say it. Maury and Green Run are head and shoulders above both those teams. And I could be 1,000% wrong.
And they have a chance to shut you up. They have a chance.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, though, we do know this. Maury is definitely head, shoulders, knees, and toes above everybody on there. So
well, it feels that way. And we will get at least one 7-5-7 team in a championship round. We've got buy or sell later in the show, and we'll address how many will bring home championships. But we have to take time out.
I can tell you this right now, too, though, Matt. The state, VHSL, would rather not have 2 teams from the same area in the states, and not that they're prejudiced, whatever. It's just,
no, I get it.
I'll open it up for more people in the state, so people aren't saying, "Oh, you're just trying to get the 7-5-7 titles or 804 titles."
I understand.
I don't care about all that. Put the 2 best team, make the collision course where the two best teams play in the championship game, not semis or quarters or whatever. That's all I'm saying.
And we're going to effort getting on the program here soon. We've been thinking about it, but you and I talking off air about getting the executive director who's retiring soon, Dr. Billy Hahn from the VHSL. He's outgoing as the executive director, took over for Ken Tilley after many years. And I'm sure he will want to address some issues across the state involving athletics. And obviously the Hayfield saga, which is on the tip of everybody's tongue. Even now still as it's been put to rest. But let's take a time out and hear some more from some of the sponsors that make it possible for us to do this with you each and every week, including CHKD Sports Medicine. Stay tuned. More to come on 757 Saturday Sports Talk.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better. And it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Pain and Gain, your one-stop shop for all things field hockey. Located in Princess One Shopping Center, Virginia Beach, we carry everything you need on the turf, from black sticks, turf shoes, mouth guards, and much more. Try out your stick before you buy in our synthetic turf area. Pain and Gain. Embrace the pain, enjoy the game.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel, wherever you may be tuning in. IG, Apple, Spotify, VirginiaPreps.com, Facebook, LinkedIn. We encourage your comments, your feedback, your interaction with all of us here on the program. Patrick Andrew Throckmorton says, I couldn't believe Thomas Jefferson threw that horrible pass with an interception at the end. They obviously don't have a reliable kicker. They were literally on the 20-yard line with 17 seconds left. I don't know if you saw it, Ed. It was a second down play. And I don't know what their kicking game was looking like. It doesn't sound like it was dependable enough to, try to run it. And if you can't score it, go for the field goal to go to OT in that matchup. But we'll get to that here in a moment with the Cougars of Kettle Run and the Vikings of TJ of Richmond, who had a great year and have some standout players like Rashad Cherry at quarterback and Amari Goff at wide receiver that helped them get to that point. But let's go now to Class 4 for a second as we fire back up the brackets. The brackets for the high school football playoffs. There you go. Can you see it? You got it on the screen there. There it is. Phoebus and Hampton today. Now, all you crabbers out there, if our man Woody Wagner, he's a diehard crabber. Ed's picking a shutout, folks. Ladies and gents, he's got it 44-0. I've got it 28-6 Phantoms. He's calling for donuts again on Ireland Street for the Phantoms and Jeremy Blunt's crew. That defense with those hard-hitting linebackers, Caleb Tillery, Co-Peninsula District Defensive Player of the Year, and Brendan Thompson leading the way. Have you changed your mind at all since then? Are you going to waffle off it, or are you sticking to your guns there and you see two straight playoff shutouts for the Phantoms on their drive for a four-peat?
This is the rival game. Back in the day, Phoebus and Hampton playing each other. It's kind of diminished a little bit over the last few years. Phoebus just staying extremely strong, and Hampton, putting it back together again.
Do you know the last time, by the way, that Hampton beat Phoebus in the playoffs? Playoffs? Do you know the last time it happened?
Oh man, 2009 wasn't
You're
it?
close. It was 2005, 29-7 at Darling Stadium on a Friday afternoon. I was there after Thanksgiving when then junior quarterback Tyrod Taylor, now the backup to Aaron Rodgers with the NFL's New York Jets, led the way. So Phoebus is trying to make it 10 straight in the series in terms of wins, and they are 19-3 the last 22 meetings against the Crabbers. I think the last win was when Dazzlin' Daz Newsome, led the win, a blowout for Mike Smith's Crabbers several years ago. So Phoebus, by the way, and we'll get to who they would see in the state semis should they win, or who Hampton would see. Phoebus wins, they're going to host next Saturday at Darling. If they lose, Hampton will travel, and we'll tell you where they would travel to. Region 4B today. You took Dinwiddie, but you said, I'm not so sure about this one, Ed, with Verina. Mighty good on defense, fresh out that shutout of Huguenot. They've got Caleb Weiss, 2,066 yards of offense, 21 touchdowns. You've got it 21-18 Generals. I've got it 26-24 Dinwiddie. But how about Harry Dalton, future USC Southern Cal running back playing quarterback for Billy Mills and the Generals. He's accounted for a staggering 11,010 yards of offense and 156 touchdowns. This dude is a ball player.
Yeah, I think you had his numbers on the pre-pick lineup. I thought, what is this? Is Madden football stuff? What are these kind of crazy numbers? He really brings new meaning to he's done it all saying. Yeah, I keep looking at Verona and I keep thinking of, teams of the past, how great that program is. I think I'm slighting Dinwiddie a little bit too much. They just a power team. They're scoring. They're holding people down. But now King George did put 35 on them. But
you said they're a power team and they score 70?
Dinwiddie.
But they're not really a power team. They go spread up tempo.
Right. It's the idea that I guess I'm using power the wrong way. Yeah. It's a team that they can score a whole lot of points. Because, again, when you look at a team that gives up 35 points, you say, wow, they're not real good or their defense is really bad.
They're potent and powerful. I got you.
But you look at 70 points put up by them. So hold on now. 70 points is, extremely rare in football, period. Mm-hmm. So they could put the points on the board. And like I said, the Dalton kid, it just seems like they got 10 of them out there because he can score from anywhere and almost any type of position.
Yeah. He can. Let's go down to 4C. C as in cat, and it's John Champ Tuscarora. Ladies and gents, we disagree on this one. Air Aldi with Brendan Pena and the John Champ wide receiver who is so great that I've been raving about all year long, DeJuan Harvey Jr. against this Tuscarora defense that's given up less than 6 points a game. Jared Toller's got a really good defense, and they have been balling out all year long. Ed's got this one scored in favor of John Champ 20-18. I've got it 18-16 Tuscarora. Watch it be decided by the Huskies offense and the Knights defense, right?
Yeah, it'll be a flip. Normally, when you're a very, very good defensive team and you get deep in the playoffs, that's going to carry you. As defense wins championships. I've always said teams with the most points on the board wins the game. So you got to score. No matter what sport it is, you got to score. You can't beat somebody 0-0. So I don't know. I keep thinking Champ will do it. Again, maybe I'm just not giving enough credit to Tuscarora. Who did Tuscarora lose to? Who's their only loss to?
One loss was to Independence High School back in early September, 21-20 on September 6th. And since then, they've held 9 straight foes to 7 points or less.
Yeah, that's a great defensive team. I'm still going to stay with Champ in a close one. I'll probably eat my words on this one too. Based on what has happened already, I should switch it around and go to Tuscarora, but I won't.
Okay, let's go down to Region 4D, and this was quite a battle in the championship. Salem Spartans jumped out to a 20-0 lead after 14 minutes and 24 seconds, but Sharando, they hadn't given up more than 14 points in any of their first 11 wins. They're able to rally, and with literally seconds to go in the game, Ethan Miller tries a 33-yard field goal attempt, and Millard's kick is partially blocked by middle linebacker James Walters of Sharando. It hits the right upright, goes to the ground, and they celebrate at Arrowhead Stadium. The Sharando Warriors are moving on to the state playoffs. They win it 29-26 over the Spartans, the number 4 seed that I had pegged to get there. Remember, Salem lost in the state championship last year to Phoebus on the basically final play, touchdown pass from 86 yards out. Maricus Banks to Keontae Gray with a second to go. Banks, then a freshman, now a sophomore QB. And Sharando wins this football game, Ed. They do so in pretty impressive fashion. It was not, a thing of beauty for them. Their starting quarterback, Micah Carlson, was questionable. He ends up throwing for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns with a pick, has 111 yards rushing and a score, but he was not going to be left out of this game with an injury, and Sharando was able to hold off the Salem Spartans, who ended up running for 265 yards in this game, but not enough to beat them 29-26.
Basically, I got to admit, I picked Sharando, again, to go against you, to try to catch up in the playoffs, nothing against Salem. But I kind of like the Sharando team in terms of what their story's been all year, too. And
how about Carlson, by the way, playing through pain?
Yeah, I just think they were going to pull this one out. But again, my main reason for picking them was I've got to find some games that could go the other way. I got to catch up with a Hatfield. And I thought this could be the one. I picked Sharando before. I feel comfortable with what they're able to put out there on the field.
Yep, he just flipped the coin, ladies and gents, and it was tails, not heads. That's why he picked them. Let's go down to the state semifinals now because they cross-bracket in 4, so you'll get Phoebus or Hampton playing Sharando. Phoebus would host them. Hampton would travel to Stevens City. Meanwhile, Dinwiddie of Varina will host, no matter what, the John Champ Tuscarora winner. It does feel like we're going to get Phoebus against the winner of that Dinwiddie Varina game, doesn't it?
I would say yes. I don't know, though.
Give me a team. Okay, so take out those 3 favorites, Phoebus, Dinwiddie, Varina. If you want to order them in that particular order, you can. But give me a team outside those 3 of the other 4, Champ, Tuscarora, Sharando, Hampton. Which one of those 4 would have the best chance to be the Cinderella, if you want to call it that won the Class 4 title?
Probably Tuscarora.
Really? Even over Champ, who you picked to win?
Yeah, I picked Champ.
Is that because of their defense being so stout?
Yeah, that's exactly what's in my head is their defensive they just don't break much. But they would be playing a Dinwiddie team, a Phoebus team. They could really put some points on the board, though. And that's probably what would be interesting to me is those teams that can score 40 points without any effort. And then you got a team that doesn't give up more than a touchdown a game. Who's going to break? Since we always talk about defense wins championships, that's where it's going to get tested.
Class 4 finals are at Liberty. So too are the Class 3 finals. We talked about Lafayette's win 33-6 over Norcom with Coach Andy Linn earlier. If you missed it, it's available on our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel. You can always scroll back and not just interact with us and comment while we're on the air live, but later on in the show and watch what we had on the program. So you can rewind your YouTube while you're listening to us live. Breon Stokes was out, and his place, Tyree Wilson, ran for 241 and on 26 attempts, by the way. Norcom had their lone touchdown, a 58-yard score from Matthew Outen, the Penn State commit, 4-star. Good year for Anthony Hawkins' Greyhounds, but 4 of their 5 losses, Ed, come to teams that were unbeaten going into yesterday in the likes of Maury, Oscar Smith, Lafayette, and, of course, Thomas Jefferson and Richmond suffered their first loss last night. The other loss was 7-6 to Granby, who ended up going 9-2, and their 2 losses were to Maury and Warwick, the final 2 games they played of the year. How about this game? Thomas Jefferson of Richmond and Kettle Run, 35-32. The Cougars outlast the Vikings of TJ Richmond in what was a whale of a ball game. We mentioned the interception at the end. And how surprised are you that Kettle Run got this done? We looked at this game coming in, and we wondered about would Kettle Run, their running back, has been dinged up a little bit, Colton Quaker, who catches the ball out of the backfield. But they had 2 12-point deficits against Armstrong in the semifinals. They rallied for that, and they've won a couple of tight battles. So they're able to function in these close games, and they beat 2 really, really strong Richmond City schools to punch their ticket to the state playoffs, where they'll now host Lafayette coming up.
Yeah, I like what Kettle Run has done. Obviously, I'm being undefeated, but I was leaning towards Jefferson with the kid out for Kettle Run, but
well, he came back. We thought he would be out. He ended up coming back in Quaker. He came back last week, and he was at full strength enough. And that offense has got a lot of weapons, and certainly Jake Mulhern at quarterback running the show for him did a good job.
Yes.
All right, Liberty Christian. We know about Gideon Davidson. He's going to Clemson. 249 yards rushing and 6 total touchdowns as they win another Region 3C championship. He's going to Clemson, and I ask you this question. Jeff Overton Jr. of Hayfield, 2-time state player of the year the last couple seasons at Freedom of Woodbridge. He's going to Virginia Tech. You got Harry Dalton, who's playing quarterback, also a running back. You got Javon Ford at Kings Fork. a lot of other really good backs around the state. Is Davidson of LCA the best back, hands down? He also plays linebacker, had a couple of INTs in last year's state final win over Lafayette. Is he the best back, plain and simple, in the entire state? Is he your number one draft choice? Is he your Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry fantasy football pick?
Well, I tell you, it's hard to go against him. I hesitate to say yes, and I wouldn't know why. It just maybe that those other. It's almost like you could take him and give me the field. That's how strong the field is.
And he had 2 touchdown receptions from their quarterback, the freshman Tyler Jackson. He ran for 249 and 4 scores, and he also starts at linebacker and might be their best defensive player.
That's amazing. You're talking about a kid who easily is the best player on the field at any given moment, offense or defense. That's rare.
And Turner Ashby had 292 yards of offense, but that's just almost doesn't match what Davidson does by himself. They were undefeated coming in. It's just, how do you deal with this guy? That's the question that maybe Andy Linn and Lafayette will have to answer in a couple weeks if they're able to get through. And it's the question next that William Byrd has to answer. How about those Terriers? It took not one but 2 overtimes to outlast Laura Botetourt, who scored at first in the first session. Then they get the ball in the second OT. And if you watched overtimes like last night's Georgia and Georgia Tech crazy 8 overtime game, and by the way, let me get a little rant about that for a second. Let's take off the screen. You know what? Joe Tessitore is a great broadcaster for ESPN, Ed. But my gracious, could he have been sucking the Georgia Bulldogs any more than he was last night through a straw? My gracious, he was just butt-kissing Ugga last night. He was over the top. Joe T, give it a rest. We know you won Georgia. We know your network wants the SEC, but calm down. And do you have to make the outrageous statement that with the win, they're in the playoff? Really? They clinch a playoff berth? So they lose in the SEC championship 42-6 and suffer their 3rd loss of the year, which I know is unlikely, but if they do, if Texas beats them or Texas A&M beats them, they're still in the playoff to you? Really? You're just going to put them in there as a cinch? I mean, the bloviating of the SEC and Georgia's got to stop. My gosh, if you could tell, I was rooting for Kirby Smart to go down last night. But my gracious.
First of all, it's good that you added to your sucking comment. That was good. Number 3, because that is a 1 and a 2. Number 3, the 8 overtimes. People, college football overtime is a joke.
Oh, and by the way, how about all them timeouts? That overtime took from the poor local news channels with our friends at I guess it would have been back in the home area, 13 WVEC, ABC, where you are. They had to wait like an hour and a half to do the local news. I think. My gracious,
the overtime is a joke. It's not even a game anymore. It's home run derby, whatever you want to call it. It's not a game. So you can have 20 overtimes. I'm not excited because it's not real football. Period.
It's not. It's almost like the runner on second base in baseball extra innings. Can't stand it. Can't deal with it.
And number 5, next year, can we just have the SEC over here and play for the SEC National Championship? Because according to them and some of the experts, the last place team in the SEC is better than almost any other conference champion around. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it.
Test, he's an accomplished broadcaster, but he's got to give it a rest. That was the second guy on ESPN I had to mute this week. The other one was the guy doing the analyst work in Maui during the basketball, and it's not Jay Billis who's coming on the show with us. It's the other guy who has not come on the show with us. I'll leave it at that. Let's go back to the football. There we go. You watch the games in Maui. Let's go back to the football, shall we? William Byrd, 46-44 over Lord Botetourt in double overtime. Second year in a row, the Terriers win the region championship. And Edward, they're able to avenge their loss 21-13 in front of the Botetourt faithful in Daleville from October 18th. Byrd has now won, I think, 4 or 5 games that have been decided by 8 points or less. They know how to function in tight spots. Experience matters.
Yeah, I think I picked the Lords in this game, if I'm not mistaken.
You picked the Lords. You had them 16-12. It was 24-23 for me, and we were both wrong. This was the shootout roller coaster game of the night.
Yeah, that's I've just got to – I was going to have to give more credit to Byrd in these playoffs. I
told you Byrd is the word. Lloyd C. and William. Have you heard? Yep. Byrd is the word, baby.
I still want to know if those 2 teams would play, if they would discuss the Byrds a lot.
It would be one for the Birds. Let's go down to the state semifinal matchups that are now set in Class 3. Liberty Christian's hosting William Byrd. Lafayette is visiting Kettle Run. You have 3 undefeated teams. Byrd has 2 losses. And by the way, Byrd ran into Liberty Christian a year ago. You say, how did that go? Well, it didn't go too pretty for the Terriers in that matchup because it was all Liberty Christian 49-6. Lafayette lost to Liberty Christian 28-14 in the title game a year ago. Much closer, they beat Brentsville 17-7 in last year's state semis. Lafayette Kettle Run is more of a toss-up to me than the Liberty Christian game with William Byrd. Would you not concur?
No question about it. I'm sorry, William Byrd. No disrespect. Liberty Christian is a different animal. Lafayette, I'm hoping, gets there, but it will not be easy against Kettle Run.
How about Lafayette's counterpart from the Bay Rivers District last night, the Poquoson Bull Islanders? We thought this might be a good game with King William, but 270 yards rushing for Poquoson. Eli Tyndall, the quarterback, directing their attack. Cody Little has a couple of scoring runs, and it was Poquoson all over the Cavaliers of King William. They shut them out, in fact, a 40-0 blanking. They had split their previous 4 playoff encounters. Well, this one was not going to be close whatsoever. All Poquoson. Totally dominated on the line of scrimmage with Carter Jones, the sophomore, leading the way on the O-line and D-line for them. And the Bull Islanders, also good punting, a couple of punts, a 60-yarder and a 40-yarder, I think, from Josh Mitchell, one of the best punters around. So they got good line play, good kicking game with a dependable punter that can pin you inside your area. And King William could never generate anything offensively the whole night. Austin Conley at linebacker is a big presence for them, too. The Colonial Forge transfer. Poquoson with a shutout. How about their defense, Ed? In 12 quarters of football in the playoffs, 8 points allowed. Not too shabby, just 1 touchdown.
Yeah, they find in the end zone with ease. B, their opponents can't find the end zone. Poquoson is really, really operating all cylinders right now.
I thought this would be a game I would get on you. We both thought this could be a game played the first to double figures wins. 10-7 was my pick for Strasburg, led by Taki Coates. Buckingham's defense came in just allowing on the year, no more than 15 points in any game. They had held 10 straight opponents to 7 points or less. Strasburg had this by halftime. They absolutely smoked the Knights. Didn't see this one coming, did you? 54-7. The Strasburg Rams are on to the state semis where they'll take on Poquoson at Poquoson. My, oh my, was this a blowout and a beatdown that we didn't see coming?
Did I pick Buckingham?
You did not. You picked Strasburg. That's why you're concerned, because you thought you picked Buckingham. You had 14-12 as your tally with a but ... You liked Buckingham a week ago, and something changed your mind. You must have talked to somebody up in the Shenandoah and VR. You remember that you did because you asked if you picked Buckingham. You got lucky. I had this one on you, I thought.
I think I was going to I think I crossed it out 4 or 5 times. I was going to go with Buckingham. I've been with them all season long, but Strasburg, again, can score it, and they make sure you can't find the end zone a little bit better than what I think Buckingham has. But, yeah, 54-7, no, I would have never seen that score.
Glenver a winner over Gretna. It was 30-8 in favor of Kevin Clifford's Highlanders, victorious over the Hawks in this one. So Glenver will take on the winner of today's Graham and Union matchup out there in Bluefield. Graham and Union played a 7-6 slobber knocker of a game back in September. You've got it scored in favor of Graham 28-20. I've got it 14-10. Is it wrong to think that the winner of Graham Union today wins the Class 2 state championship? Yes or no?
No, you can go either one of them. I don't see Union knocking off Graham. I think Graham's got this all the way.
So there's your Class 4 or Class 2 Final Four. You've got Poquoson, Strasburg. Poquoson hosts them. Glenver, Graham Union. I will caution you, Brody Doyot, the quarterback for Glenver, Ed. Sometimes we've seen a player carry his team on his back in Class 2. Last year it was Landon Clark of Radford, who's now at Elon, 2 sides of the ball. You had King Williams, running back, that ran for 50-plus touchdowns, or had 50-plus touchdowns scored in Damon Claiborne, who went to the ACC and Wake Forest. Now you've got a junior triggerman in Brody Doyot, who coming into last night had 14 touchdowns in the playoffs, 12 passing, 2 rushing, also rushes the passer as a defensive end outside linebacker. They had the best single player in the bracket. So it would be compelling to see if Glenver got there, maybe against the Poquoson, how Poquoson's defense would go about trying to defend the passing attack of Glenver. They have the one thing that the other 3 don't have, and that's a passing attack that can really torch you.
Well, the matchup I want to see would be Poquoson against Graham in the finals.
Why is that?
I just think those, I think those are the 2 best teams right now. Now, and again, not disrespecting Union, Glenvar, or Strasburg. Poquoson's going to have a tough time trying to get by Strasburg. But I just to me, that's the matchup I want to see.
Class 1 today, Rappahannock and Essex square off. Rappahannock won the previous encounter. Our man Will Garlick will be there for VirginiaPreps.com. Essex has dusted its first 2 playoff foes, 136-0, as you see on the screen. Rappahannock's putting up 46.8 points per game, but they beat him for the first time in 29 meetings. They had a 28-game losing streak, and they won that game first time since 2001. We'll see if Essex can get revenge there on the road. Alta Vista, they come from behind to beat Buffalo Gap 32-20. This was not an easy game for the Colonels, who last week had a couple of non-offensive touchdowns via special teams. Matt DeLoach's team's able to win it thanks to an interception from Christian Garvin when they were down 20-16 that helped set up a touchdown for the Colonels. They're able to get some scores from a couple of different sources. LaDainian Stone had a touchdown run for him as well. He has not been as big of a focal point, 4,000-plus yards in his career. Cooper Brooks had 2 touchdowns, and Jacorian Davis found the end zone as well. But Buffalo Gap put up a good effort here, and they should be commended for the effort. Alta Vista, though, stays undefeated.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Alta Vista throughout this.
Okay, Grayson County, a shutout of Bath County, 20-0. Ed Young, like his pick of Briar Woods to go down against Riverbend, he will take a Bath, ladies and gents, because he took Bath County 24-22. The Chargers let you down at home in Hot Springs, Ed.
Yeah, I almost want to never take a bath again.
Oh, then you will stink to high heaven. Don't.
I'll shower, but I'm not going to take the bath.
No baths for you. And in your Region 1D final last night, the Rye Cove Eagles, salute to Gary Collier and company. They were trailing Eastside. Remember, it was a 40-8 win in the regular season, 5 for 5 on 2-point conversions, but Landon Lane and company would not be denied. They come back to stun Eastside 26-20, which sets up our final 4. Well, we have 3-4. Alta Vista and Rye Cove are unbeaten. Grayson County's got 3 losses. Rappahannock's unbeaten. Will they get there to join the unblemished Colonels and Eagles? Essex tries to prevent that. Essex lost last year in the state finals to Galax. A crazy kick at the end in a low-scoring affair. That was a 7-6 final in favor of Galax, the number 5 seed. But Alta Vista wants revenge against Essex potentially because they lost to them in the state semis last year, 16-8. Handicap that for me, sir. Who is the favorite?
I want to say right off the top, Alta Vista, but Rappahannock and either Rappahannock or Essex, those are a whole lot of points coming into that game. Either one of those teams put a whole lot of points on you. And then I'm not even looking hard at Grayson County and Rye Cove, though I would think Rye Cove would take that. But I think the winner for the state comes on the other side, Rappahannock, Essex, Alta Vista. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Hear you now.
Don't mute my button. You've got a remote control over there. When you mute the TV, you mute me. Do you know that, right? You can't do that. Don't do that.
I haven't touched anything.
You hit the remote. Well, then maybe it's your dog. What's your dog's name?
No, Bear's sleeping. He's not touching.
Somebody's in your house with the remote control because they muted me.
No, I would imagine Harris somewhere walking outside tripped over a cord again.
I'll blame him for electricity. That's right. Coming up, we've got buy or sell. We've also got a conversation that one of our on-field correspondents did with Brandon Nesbitt and Lonnie Andrews III of the Tigers. It's all coming your way, but let's hear a word now from some that make it possible for us to do this with you each and every week, the great folks at Cova Sports TV. And one of those sponsors that help make it possible for us is Vault Athletics and Fitness. Ed will check out that big facility at some point in his life over there in the beach.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine. where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
All right, here with a couple of dynamic Oscar Smith Tigers. We got on the left Brandon Nesbitt, who has 3 touchdown runs, over 100 yards rushing, and Lonnie Andrews III, the Region 6A offensive player of the year. They won tonight 28-7 over Highland Springs. BJ, let me start with you. Last year, the pain of going to see Highland Springs, and they beat you in your season. How much was the talk all week long about getting some revenge, some payback, if you will?
We were talking about it all week long. We took that personal last year. We knew we could have beaten them last year, and we took that to the heart, so we had to come out here and execute it, so we did.
I know you were upset when we spoke maybe about a month, 2 months ago. You had some fumbles tonight, though, in the red zone. You weren't coughing that thing up. Tell me about finishing the drives and getting in the end zone and hearing the crowd roar behind you.
Coach was just telling me all we in practice, keep it high and tight, keep it locked, so that's what I did.
You've got some really good receivers, Lonnie. Obviously, Travis Johnson, Trey Jones had almost 100 yards receiving tonight. But how comforting is it to have the defense you got and also Thunder and Lightning with Nesbitt and Tajay Curtis?
Our defense, man, over the summer they put in a lot of work. And just the season they put in a lot of work, not laying up too many points, always helping us out, being bailout for the offense. And, having my receivers and BJ is like a blessing. We all bond together. We talk every day and all that. So it's like a brotherhood all here.
Attacking this defense is a really good athletic Highland Springs defense. They got a guy going to Tech, 2-time state defensive player in Vernon Johnson. What would you guys want to do to kind of stretch them out and get some success offensively?
We knew what the game plan was. The coaches they was in here Sunday all day. They do that every week. They give us the right game plan. We just got to come out here and execute.
You guys talk about each other a little bit. Tell me what makes this QB special. He's not a freshman anymore. What makes him such a unique player for you guys? Running the offense.
I knew he was gonna be special when he first came in. He's smart. He can read all his reads and stuff. He's a talented young QB, and he's gonna be great his senior year.
All right, what makes this guy one of the best running backs in the entire state?
If you ask me, I'd say he's one of the best in the nation. But he run hard. Even if he'll have a bad play, come back next drive, have a great play. He'll hang his head low, but he'll come back, bring his head high, and then he'll finish the job. He get the job done for us.
We know about the legacy of your pops being Oscar Smith. What's it mean to restore after 2 years losing before the region championship to win a region championship? I know you're not done. You want to go to the state championship, but they kind of get the crowd celebrating the trophy, and then you got 2 more to go to get the ultimate one.
It feels great today. We lost last year, my freshman year, first time. I wouldn't say my first time starting, but I was starting my freshman year, and it hurt real bad. So we knew coming out here we had to just execute so we didn't have to go through that feeling again.
And lastly, Brandon, you've got at least 1 more game. You hope 2 more games in a state championship appearance at JMU on December 14th. What's it going to take for this group to finish it off after really people talking about other teams in the state in Class 6? And you all knew in the summertime this could be you guys.
It's just going to take us getting in practice every day, one by one, getting 1% better each day, keep it pushing. That's it.
There you go. That's Nesbitt. That's Andrews. Tigers win it. Thanks so much. Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
All right, back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. So you heard from Lonnie Andrews III, the offensive player of the year in Region 6A, and Brandon Nesbitt. You'll hear more from the Tigers, Trey Jones, and Coach Chris Scott coming up on the Hash from Hatfield next week. You heard from Andy Linn of the Lafayette Rams earlier in the program. And Ed, it is now time for, unless you have some reaction to both what Nesbitt and Mr. Andrews had to say there, buy or sell. Do you have enough shekels in your pockets? Are you broke? Do you take out a loan? I know you've taken a loan from time to time.
Let me look in my pockets, see what I got in my pockets.
Reach in the pockets.
Let me reach in here. I got nothing.
You got nothing. Well, you have nothing most of the time anyways, so that's typical you. All right, let's get to buy or sell now. And you can always interact with us here on buy or sell. First question. The college football national champion for 2024-2025, as I've not on a rant about this enough, will not, N-O-T, not, come from the Southeastern Conference. And by the way, I think we can show you, if I've got the capabilities here on the screen to do so. I'm going to attempt it, right? So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to give it a whirl, the bracket. There's the college football playoff bracket. Can you see it, Eddie? Can you see it, sir?
I got you.
You gotcha. I gotcha. There it is going into this past week. Now, Georgia is now 10-2. So there's your bracket coming into this week. That's the latest bracket that was shown on the screen on last Tuesday's ESPN telecast, I think before the Kansas and Duke game. Thank goodness the Jayhawks didn't self-destruct for other purposes we won't get into on this edition of the program. Take that, Cooper Flag and John Shire. There's your bracket. SEC right now has how many teams? 1, 2, 3. Tennessee, Georgia, Texas. Texas, of course, has to play Texas A&M today. So let's go back to our buy or sell question as you see it on the screen there with the college football playoff. Yeah, playoff. The national champion will not, N-O-T, come from the SEC.
I'm going to...
You're going to do what?
I'm going to sell it.
Pause? You're going to pause?
I'm pausing
because so you think the SEC will have the champion?
As much as I'm throwing darts at the SEC, you got Texas. I've liked Texas all year. Tennessee, Georgia, we're not even sure. This is going to change, 3 more times. So overall, and they're going to have at least 3 teams in it. They'll have 3 teams in it. I'm looking hard at Oregon, but I'm just wondering how they'll do against a pretty decent SEC team. And another team that I've liked all year, Ohio State, whose only loss has been to Oregon. I look at Ohio State and Oregon and really, really feel a national champion will be one of them too. But with 3 powerhouses out of the SEC, and again, this is going to change. It's all about the matchups. It's going to change because if this matchup would stay as is, Tennessee, Georgia, one SEC team is already out, but the other one would have to play in Oregon right there in that next round, that quarterfinal round.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting. So I'll sell it this week, probably buy it next week.
By the way, going back to high school for a second, you can I can output out there that our man Robert Edmonds is telling us that Bo Baylor of Turner Ashby got offered by ODU last night, or I guess I should say today. ODU, by the way, ending its season today against Arkansas State on the road for football. Our women's basketball team in action today against Oakland, the Golden Grizzlies, after playing Ohio State in a tough loss on Thursday, but 5-2, trying to make it 6-2. And by the way, UVA and Virginia Tech in football today should be a fun one. As one of them will try to go bowling and make it 6-6, the other one will end up at 5-7. Will that be part of one of our buy or sell questions coming up? Well, it might be, but let's stay in the SEC, Ed's favorite college football conference. Why not? The SEC's got a team that's playing mighty good right now in college hoops. Just won the Maui Invitational. We're talking about Bruce Pearl's Auburn Tigers. He's not our favorite Bruce Pearl. That's our guy from the Virginia Beach Mustangs instead. And we're going to have to organize a conversation between that Bruce Pearl and our Bruce Pearl right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk and make heads explode because we'll say, Bruce, take the question. Mr. Pearl, take the question. We won't know which Pearl's talking. Which Bruce, which Pearl? So we asked this question. We talked about the SEC with college football championship. A team from the SEC will win the NCAA men's basketball championship. By the way, you said you're selling the last one. I'm going to buy it. The SEC is not going to win. I'm anti-SEC right now, so you know I'm buying it. I'm SBC, baby. SBC. Sun Belt Conference. SBC. How about the SEC for hoops, though? Will an SEC team win the title? It might not have to be Auburn. It could be Alabama.
Going into this feast week, I had Alabama at this point best team college basketball.
Despite the loss to Purdue?
Yes. I still go with Alabama, but I've watched a lot of college basketball or football in the last 3-4 days, very little. But I've watched a lot of basketball. Auburn is very good. I might say.
How about Janai Broom? Is he a rebound machine or what? If he played in the ACC, by the way, people would be gushing about him like they did Armando Bacot from UNC the last few years. He out of Richmond, Virginia. They'd be gushing about him, but they are really good on the baseline.
Yeah, right now, today, last day of November, I go with Auburn as the number 1 team, probably drop Alabama down. But right now, end of November, the SEC wins. I hate to say yes because I'm all over the SEC too. Just spent a whole football season listening about SEC. Now we're going to spend a whole basketball season listening about SEC. But those teams, they're very top heavy in basketball up there. I will say yes right now. Watch out for Gonzaga, even though they lost a game in the tournament they're in. They're very good too. I've seen them play now twice. They're very good too.
So you're going to buy it with the possibility of one of those two, Auburn or Alabama.
That right now I'm going to go with if the basketball championships would start tomorrow, December 1st, I'm going one of those two. So I'll have to buy it right now.
Well, let me also tell you that not only are they on two top level teams, you should look at the SEC as a whole, Ed.
Yeah, Tennessee's very good.
Well, not just that, Oklahoma, Porter Moser's team, they beat Arizona, who's struggling right now. You got Vandy at 7-1, Missouri 6-1, Alabama 6-1, Texas 6-1, Ole Miss 6-1, LSU 6-1, Georgia 6-1, Mississippi State 6-1. But you have unbeatens right now with Oklahoma, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, all 7-0, and Florida quietly with a coach, by the way, who's got some skeletons in his closet right now, Mr. Golden. Have you seen that whole story? Oh my gosh, look that up if you haven't. Have you not seen that story with Todd Golden?
Yes,
he's under investigation for you know what. So they're 8-0 are the Gators, but I'm with you. I think Auburn and Alabama, those two have a great chance. I'm going to buy this like you, even though I'm anti-SEC football at the moment.
The thing I like about Florida is the big kid that I met 2 summers ago in Memphis from Canada, the big 7'9" kid.
Yeah,
I forget his name.
Doesn't play a lick though, does he?
He
I think he redshirts.
He's not playing a little bit more than he is. He's not a stiff out there. He can play a little bit. So
read our next one. Read our next one as we go back.
All right, here we go. I knew we were going to get one of these. Ohio State will beat Michigan at home today by more points than Notre Dame defeats Southern Cal on the road. Wow. Yes. I'm going to
buy that.
I'm going to buy it.
Well, you know, Ryan Day has had a lot of trouble with Michigan.
He's going to run it up.
You think so?
If let me put it this way. Michigan has a better chance of beating Ohio State than Southern Cal beating Notre Dame.
Let me ask you this question. If Michigan beats Ohio State today, will you come on the show in a Michigan jersey with the Michigan fight song?
No, I don't have.
You can borrow one from your good pal, Richie Somerville. He'll get you a Michigan jersey for the show. Why not?
Richie, get me a jersey. Okay, I can do that. But
okay. So if Michigan wins today, you'll do that next week on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they don't, I want to see you in Ohio jersey with your head shaved.
No. Buckeyes are favored pretty handily. They're favored by 19.5.
Doesn't matter. You got to win it on the field today. See, you do.
I'll go one better. How about this? I'll go one better. If Notre Dame beats Southern Cal by more than 3 touchdowns, I will wear a Notre Dame jersey for you on a future episode of this podcast. I didn't say next week. I'm not sure what I'll be doing next week. You know, I got a busy schedule, but I will buy this like you. Is that fair? Yeah. I think I'm being fair there. I didn't say next week. I said if they win by more than 3 touchdowns, which means above 21 points, which is what about people expect Ohio State to win by, I will wear a Notre Dame jersey. I think it's fair.
A lot of the pundits are saying that Southern Cal has no chance against Notre Dame, and Michigan has a slight chance because of the nature of that rival. And Michigan ain't going nowhere this year of beating Ohio State. I like to think Ohio State. I'm serious. They get a chance to run it up because Ryan Day forever all we heard was can't beat Michigan. So now he doesn't want to beat them by 21. He wants to.
Well, he's got to try to win by 8,000 points because he knows if he loses a game or only wins by 6, the SEC's 7th place team will pass him. I mean, we're so SEC biased at this point. Listen, I usually think that was all exaggerated and it's the best league, but it's over the top. Last night with Tessitore on the Georgia Tech game, it just confirmed it for me. We had David Teal talk about it with us, I think, a little bit back in the start of the year, but the ACC not getting any love and disrespect. And listen, had a little middle-of-the-pack ACC Yellow Jackets team beating Georgia last night. The whole ESPN network would have exploded in Bristol. They'd have lost their minds.
They definitely wouldn't want to see my 12-team playoff because I've got about 14.
Well, yeah, you got some screwy MAC teams, and even
I've got MAC in there. I got
our Sun Belt champion in it. So
I've got Marshall in there. The winner of the Sun Belt, either Marshall or Louisiana in the playoff.
Let's go to high school football. The 757 area code will have at least 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 state football champions in December of 2024. And still alive, by the way, in the state playoffs. Still alive. It's alive. Oscar Smith, as we showed you in Class 6, unbeaten. Maury in Class 5, unbeaten. Green Run in Class 5, unbeaten. And by the way, those two square off. So one of those two is guaranteed a spot in the state finals. You also have Phoebus or Hampton's going to go. That gives us 4, likely the Phantoms. We do acknowledge that. Lafayette is 5. Poquoson is 6. So you could have up to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, up to 5 teams in the state finals from Hampton Roads. There's guaranteed to be at least 1. Smith, Maury, Green Run, Phoebus, Hampton, Lafayette, Poquoson are at least 3 bringing home championships. Maury's a defending champ, as is Phoebus, 3 years running. Lafayette lost in the state finals last year. Poquoson lost in the state semifinals a year ago. What's your gut tell you? Buy or sell this?
Well, seeing that I'm picking Maury and Phoebus to definitely win one, that's 2. Now that gives us, 3 left? Smith, Poquoson, and Lafayette. Lafayette would have a real toughie with Liberty Christian. Smith would probably play who?
Did you just cross over Maury and Green Run? You just said Smith. What are you doing over there?
I've got Maury and Phoebus winning state titles.
Okay, so that's 2.
That's 2. So Green Run is out.
Okay. What about Oscar Smith?
That leaves Smith left.
They're playing Fords coming up.
Colonial Fords, I think they win that. So they'll be in the state title game again.
So they'll play either Madison, Fairfax, Lake Braddock, or Washington Liberty in the state finals, according to you.
Yes, and I'm going to say they probably would play Madison.
Okay.
And they would have a good chance to win that.
I think you're taking as much time to figure this out as you did to get on this program this morning with your technical difficulties.
Yeah. And it's
by the way, our man Coach Malloy, going back to him for a second, Dan Malloy out there. We love Dan out there. Says his players are saying his players from South Carolina are saying South Carolina over Clemson. Ooh, I tell you what, that's what Kendall Daniels would have agreed with last week when we talked with him from Maury. His teammate Ari Watford doesn't like that, but there you go.
I don't want to see that because you know what we're going to hear next week. South Carolina should probably.
We don't need that, Dan. You're right. No more SEC fatigue, please. No, sorry, KD.
That's what you're going to hear. South Carolina deserves a spot in the playoff.
Oh, yeah.
They beat a great Clemson team.
They're going to be lobbying for Vanderbilt soon. You're going to have Skip Bayless up here lobbying for Vandy because they beat Alabama.
I'm going to buy this because I think 2 is for sure, and I think out of the other 3 we can get another one. So I'm going to buy it 757.
I'm going to buy it as well. I will reserve it with caution. I'm like you. I think Maury and Phoebus win it. And what would worry me is not if Smith doesn't win it because you still have Poquoson and Lafayette in the mix, but if Phoebus got picked off. Phoebus is the key to this one, believe it or not, because if they got picked off, you're not going to get 3, I don't think. Because I don't think you get Smith and a Poquoson or Lafayette. See what I'm saying? You got to have Maury do what they're supposed to and Phoebus do what they're expected to do. I think Maury's is supposed to. Phoebus isn't expected. But Dinwiddie, Verina, others are good enough to keep them from four-peating.
That's how I feel. I feel Maury and Phoebus will.
See how I cleaned it up for you in about 25 seconds? You took 3.5 minutes to figure that out.
You didn't do nothing to help me on that. I already said it before you asked me. I said Maury and Phoebus will win it. It's just, can we get one more? I'm a 757 homer, so I'm saying, yes, we're going to do it.
757 Homer Simpson. Are you ready for our last question? We're still asking out there, is Ed Young a righteous dude? Let us know. Is he a righteous dude? I'm not so sure about that. Last one. It is UVA Virginia Tech related, and our man Jack Lowe is not with us to give us all the Wahoo love. I know he was disappointed last week. He was watching her on his phone. He was very depressed, wasn't he? He was so saddened by that. But we put Jack to work. He was doing some great sideline work for us at the Neptune Bowl. So we want to know from all of you out there, Virginia's at Virginia Tech, an ACC tilt on the ACC network with West Durham on the call. Woody's son. What do you think? Hokies hosting the Cavaliers will score the winner less than 24 points. UVA is a 5-point dog at VaTech, and the over-under is 49.5. Will this be a lower scoring game? Will this be a game that Ed Young at around 10 o'clock tonight, 9:30, when he's channel surfing, after he's done honky-tonking around Hampton Roads, will he be tuned to this one because we've got some scoring going on at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg?
Yes. Virginia Tech's going to win it, and I think they'll score more than 24.
Really?
I think they win by 2 touchdowns. The thing about this game is both teams are motivated. It's their big rival, number one. Number two, the winner goes to a bowl. The loser more than likely won't under 500 record unless they need more teams. They'll go to a 5-16. But I'm thinking Tech is a little bit stronger. It's at home. I just think it's Tech wins just a little bit more than 24, but I think it'll be a close game.
Tech has won 18 of the last 19 meetings. UVA hasn't won in Blacksburg since 1998, when none of those kids could shave because none of them were alive. Even all your 5th and 6th year seniors, none of them were alive in the 90s. I don't believe. This is the first time since 2014 that both teams need a win to become bowl eligible. And I think Tech will run the ball and keep it close to the vest here. By the way, Jonas Sanker, the safety for UVA, 4 times the ACC defensive back of the week, needs 11 stops for his second consecutive 100 tackle year. I think the loser, you said you're gonna sell this because you think the winner will have more than 24. Is that what you said? You're gonna sell this?
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I'd say the winner has more than 24.
I'm going to buy this 20-17 Hokies. Sorry, Jack. I think it goes below the number. I think it's lower scoring. I think Tech will run the ball. I think UVA's defense will be formidable for much of the night. I don't think either one airs it out with much success through the air. It is cold in Blacksburg. It's at night. I got the under, and I think I'm going to buy this one. There you have it. Oh, look at this. Jack is with us now. He says Jonas Sanker is the best safety in the country. Hold on now, Sparky. Hold on now, as I say, Sparky. Caleb Downs, if you watched him from Ohio State, you're going to make all the Buckeyes fans go bananas. And Ed Young's got a pretty darn good safety at Notre Dame, who is the real deal. The real deal. And we're talking about Xavier Watts. So I think Sanker's really good, but I can't go best in the country. I can't go that far. He's in the top 5, top 10, but not best in the country. No. That's a little much. See, I went to bat for your guy there, but I would probably go Downs over Watts by a little bit, just a little bit.
Jack goes overboard sometimes. Young kids go overboard, but I'm not going to fault Jack because Jack took care of us last week.
No, he
we
did.
were outside in the cold. He brought us some food.
I appreciate his fandom and love for UVA, but I won't go that far. I will not go that far. So I'm going to buy this. Ed's going to sell this. And I was rooting hard for UVA to beat Notre Dame, though. I wanted to see you suffer.
And that wasn't going to happen.
It wasn't, unfortunately. But I was hoping. That would have been a great moment. I'd have been thrilled for not just Jack, but all the UVA people. And so delirious that your Fighting Irish went down in flames. We've got one more segment on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It'll end a little bit after 12 noon. It would have ended before it, but Ed was tardy. That's okay. We've got the NFL picks coming your way next. The league where they play for pay. It's coming your way. Is it week number 13? Is it 13? Are we in lucky 13 now for the week picks? It's 13, right? Isn't it week 13? That's what the screen says. Week 13. It's coming 13. Up. Yeah. Week 13 in the league where they play for pay. It's all coming your way next year on Cova Sports TV. But now this word from Town Bank.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better. And it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Thinking about the McNeely over the back call from yesterday. Different game, different officials, but saying if that was a foul, then this should have been a foul. And his
sailed out of bounds, but a foul this time will go against Nate Santos. That is the 5th team foul for Dayton.
I believe that's what makes it a big flagrant one foul. There's no question he got the ball. And a great refusal of the ball screen by Haggerty. Whenever you're getting multiple possessions on one end of the floor, giving up offensive thought with the foul, reaching in, trying to grab the basketball.
A flagrant one. That's going to result in 2 shots. This would be officiating.
Carter makes it about 9 times a game, and that's really what he does. He can get into the lane, whether in transition. 2 hands in the back. There wasn't much of a push.
At least McNeely and Caravan just walked by right in front of us, just where they happen to be. Bull. Offensive foul going on Reed. And it'll be Memphis ball. Offensive foul. Dan Hurley is irate. And the official who made the call, Scott Brown, making a... And now officials are conferring to decide whether that ball was deflected.
He thought he was getting physically jostled around.
That I know you ever did when you tell me where, but you then lose the murder. You've been moon of martyr and alive with you and me. If you don't to lose, the love me offers me.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
All right, we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our Cova Sports TV YouTube channel as we close out this edition of the program on this final day of November, the year 2024. We want to know from all of you out there, is Dan Hurley really Ed Young's distant cousin? That guy's a little unhinged, the 2-time reigning national champion coach of the Huskies. He goes bananas on the sidelines. I mean, he got to take a chill pill, doesn't he?
The problem with UConn, Coach Hurley, it's portal related.
Is it really? Because he was like this before the portal. Are you sure?
Yes, he is
He's
wired.
like a psychopath out there.
He's the modern version on the court of Bobby Knight. Very intense.
He is
very
wacky.
demanding. Okay, he's not going to throw chairs or whatever in public, but I'll guarantee you, you would not want to be in one of his practices today, tomorrow, whenever they practice again. They've had a bad showing of what tournament? They're in Maui, right? They're in the Maui tournament.
They lost the first game to Memphis and Penny Hardaway, who tried to gag it away. We know how much I love Penny. Not really. Then they lost their second game. They went for a 3-1 and fell to Colorado.
That was a bad loss.
Yeah.
Colorado's good, but it's a bad loss.
By the way, I got a text message from an anonymous source that told me the 19.5-point spread in Michigan, Ohio State is ridiculous. I don't know if they meant too low or too high. If that individual is watching the show, we'd love to know if it's too low or too high. But and then they lost their last game to Dayton and Anthony Grant, who, by the way, his team went 1-2 in that event, but they played really well and should have won 3. They got jobbed against by the referees against UNC that first night. They got jobbed.
Okay. My point with Hurley has some merit to what he said about the officiating. I agree. The officiating was a little sloppy, but you can't.
It was saying that it was bad in the Carolina game. But go ahead.
Right, but you've got to be careful because when he went on his press conference, his after game rant, he blasted officials twice. That he's going to get some reprimand for that. But the problem really is, and they're going to be okay, is putting this team together. It's pretty much a new team. You got guys coming from all over, and what he normally does defensively, you're not seeing it. You're just not seeing it. And he's going to have to go back into the drawing board in practice to get these guys to go because you got kids that are coming from different programs. This is one of the problems of the portal. They've been taught different. You're not getting a fresh kid out of college out of high school who's taught, but you can really mold them into a good college player. You're getting kids that are in their second, third year of college, and they picked it up a different way, and the old habits are hard to break. So that's what he's going through right now is trying to put this team together. And let's face it, their best kids from last year, Castle, Connect, and the big kid with the Rockets now, the big monster kid. Those kids
with the Rockets. He's with the Blazers, Donovan Clingan.
Oh, he's with the Blazers. I thought he was with the Rockets.
You're as bad as our buddy Jimbo. You guys are still hung head over heels for Zach Edey, by the way, who's no Donovan Clingan. But that's an argument for another time.
Zach Edey will be on the all-rookie team. That's a guarantee. And he'll be
really? Is he going to get back on the floor? Have you been watching him lately? But he hasn't been getting any run lately. I'm not sure you need to. By the way, going back to Jack's initial point about Jonas Sanker being the best safety in the country, he is an elite safety stuck at an ACC school. I will give you that, Jack. And if he played in an SEC, they probably would have given him diamonds, rubies.
Oh, yeah, he would have been a first-round pick.
He would have been put in college football. He'd have been put in the College Football Hall of Fame by Joe Tessitore and ESPN cronies. My gracious! I mean, and by the way, do you have the Fox Big Noon Saturday up on your TV? I don't know if you do or not. Brady Quinn and Reggie Bush and Urban Meyer, they all picked Ohio State, which we expect. Urban used to coach the Buckeyes. Charles Woodson, who played for Michigan, took the Wolverines today 30-27. I'll be stunned if they score 30 points on the Buckeyes. They are one-dimensional. They run it. They don't throw it. I'd be stunned.
There's no way Woodson's picking Ohio State publicly. He can't.
Well, I get that, but I'm a little surprised he picked 30. If he's going to pick, they're going to win. You want to go like 14-13. So, anywho, let's get to the NFL picks, shall we? We shall, and let's give you the updates.
I've got to pull them up. Do I have them?
Oh, my gosh. Is your fingers broken? Well, with your computer, you might have to. We just sent you the link.
I don't want to touch any buttons on a computer because it may send me.
Use your phone. I sent it to your little instant message clarification thingamabob. So there you go. Jack says Buckeyes by 28. All right, Jack, you might be right about that. The question is how much is Ed's Irish going to beat Southern Cal? And I'm not sure it's going to be close to 28. It might be in that 7-14 range, if that. I think Southern Cal might sneak around despite the physicality in the running game with your man Love there. That could be a tough game today for the Irish on the road. I'm just telling you. Jeremiah Love's been running the football really well, but that's a tricky game. Let's get to the picks though. Here we go for the NFL picks. That's Bruce's week 13 picks. Was that in a second? That's week 13 tally. Let's go to week 12 tally. Here we go. Week 12, 2-1 for Eddie, 2-1 for me, 2-1 for Brucey. Bruce had the Bucks minus the 5.5, took care of business. He had the Lions minus 7.5, 24-6. Wasn't on Thanksgiving Day or he'd taken an L there. Had the Chiefs minus 10.5. They only won by 3, 30-27 against the Panthers. And by the way, had struggles against Ed's Raiders. I had Tampa minus the 5.5. I agree with Bruce on that. Got me a W. Had the Seahawks plus the 1.5. They beat my Cardinals 16-6. Doggone it. I would have liked to have lost that one and instead won the under 48.5 of Eagles Rams. It was 37-20. It was going to be under, and then at the very end it went over. Didn't like it. So Ed had the Packers minus 5.5. Easy 38-10 over the 49ers.
Sorry, Mr. Whittington and all you Niners fans out there. Our man Lance Hinton, he's a big Niners fan too. Ravens minus a 2.5. They won 30-23 on Monday Night Football over the Chargers. The Bolts had the Vikes minus 3.5, and they had to go to overtime to beat the then Matt Eberflus-led Bears, no longer coached by or led by Matt Eberflus. As they fell. And now here's the regular season tally. I don't like this at all. Do you? I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm over 500, but I've got phobia of 9, so I got to get a win to get into the 20s.
You got a phobia of 9?
Yeah, I don't like anything that ends in a 9. I automatically give it the next number. It's a phobia. I don't know what.
Really?
Yeah, I always round stuff off. And anything's in a 9. If I owe you $9, I will give you 10. I can't give you 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I just found it to be over 99,990.
I'd have to give you $1 million.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I gave you $200,000 before the show. 100 grands. That's 200 grand. So let's do it.
I donated it back to Virginia Preps. Remember that?
Which is now about to go out of business, thanks to you. What an investment that was. Let's get to the picks for week 13.
I go first.
No, Bruce does. Bruce has got his picks.
Why is Bruce going first?
Because he's not with us live in living color. He's He's got to meet up with the other Bruce Pearl to talk about the Giants.
I'll tell you right now, I'm taking one of Bruce's picks.
Listen, well, you can take one, but not two. Listen, they got to talk about he and Bruce Pearl are talking about the Giants and the Rangers and Bird. So he's taking Tampa minus 5.5. Who do they play today? Or tomorrow, I should say. Who do they play?
Tampa?
Yeah, who they at?
Are they playing? No, they're not playing Atlanta.
No, they're playing Atlanta.
Tampa.
Carolina.
That's
Carolina. Panthers. He's got the Rams minus 2.5 and the Eagles plus the 3. What is your first selection, Coach Young?
Well, let me see. He kind of threw me off my game.
How?
I got to take one of yours.
Oh, why would you do that?
I'm going to try to think of who you would pick. I got a feeling.
Indigestion. That feeling is indigestion.
By the way, stay away from the Buffalo-San Francisco game because the winner in that's going to be the winter.
Yeah. Do you like the under in that one, sir? It's 44.5.
I don't know if either team can literally see the end zone in that game.
I thought about taking the over until the weather forecast. And I saw the weather forecast and I was like, oh, that's dicey, to say the least.
Yeah, if it
will not be like the Steelers game where it was an easy with the snow in the second half. I don't see that happening at all in that matchup.
I'm going to stick with my first. I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm taking one of Bruce's. That was the one I wanted to go with. I think that one is maybe one of the safest bets of the whole.
And they're playing at the Saints, who are going to try to go marching in to beat them, correct?
Yes. I got to think the Rams minus 2.5.
That's an anti-Derek Carr pick because he's no longer with your Raiders. That's what that is.
No, I like Derek Carr. I still wish. Oh boy, I wish he was with the Raiders right now.
Yeah, he's better than Aiden O'Connell. Don't call me Mitch McConnell. He put you in position. It's not his fault entirely.
No, they snapped the ball. I don't even want to get into that one. I just forget that.
That's your first pick. I'm glad you didn't take it because you know what I'm going for my first one? I'm going to surprise everybody. Sunday afternoon game gives me something to root for. Harbaugh won the Harbaugh Bowl. The Eagles are red hot. People might make them the favorite in the NFC now after the Lions' listless performance for part of that game, which was due to all the injuries on defense against Chicago on Thanksgiving Day. But here's a stat for you. Are you ready? Lamar Jackson, 23-1 versus the NFC. What conference is Philadelphia in, Ed?
NFC.
Give me Baltimore, minus the 3 for pick number 1. I'll stay away from that over-under in the Niners-Bills game. I'll go to another over-under involving my guys, the Arizona Cardinals. It was 45 to 45.5. It's now down to 44.5. Give me the over of 44.5. Bird Gang against the Vikes. I think we'll get some points and not enough defense from my guys. Probably the Vikes win it something like 28-20 to just squeak over the over. What's your next two and your last two?
I'm going to stay in that same game. I'm going Vikings minus 3.5 over your Cards.
I hope they beat you, not just on the hook, but outright this time, as you expected.
Arizona at home is almost a sure bet. On the road is almost a sure bet they won't.
Okay, we'll see about that.
I wanted to do an over and under, but you took my Bills. I was going to go under Bills and
well, you can. I didn't take it. No. I didn't take it. I stayed away from it. You can take the under.
Oh, I thought you took the under.
I said I was going to take the over all week until I saw the weather forecast.
I'm going to say, because it'll give me something to watch in that game, plus the snow. Give me the under, Bills, 49ers.
Plus, you've got a nice little cushion, a little 2-game lead over Bruce, and more than that over me. You're going under 44.5. I hope it breaks out into a shootout in the snow. Actually, I don't want it to be a shootout. I want it to be 45 total points and a score like on the last play of the game, just to stick in your crawl. Just to stick in your crawl there, Ed. Stick in your crawl. Listen, I don't run from it. I don't hide from it. I totally acknowledge I root for Ed to suffer in the most painful ways possible.
And you can see people the result. I'm winning, so he's suffering a lot. Me, that's okay. I'm okay.
I might be suffering a little bit later today. Say something funny. Here we go. Last pick. Tell you what, I'm really tempted on this one. Really tempted. Do I go with an over-under again? Do I take 2 over-unders? I just don't know about that. That's dangerous. It's dicey. Have you seen the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati line? It's now 2.5. When it was 3, I was going to take Pittsburgh, but it's now dropped. So that makes me scramble here. I've got faith in you, commies. Tennessee's coming off a win right over Houston.
That's a good one. That's the one I was going to take.
They're not winning 2 in a row, and the Commanders are reeling. So, all right, Jack. All right, Rico. Don Suave out there. I'm counting on y'all's commies. And if you don't win, I'm going to get Daryl to put the hex on you. And that's really bad. Give me the Commanders minus the 6.5. So to recap, Ravens minus 3, Commanders minus 6.5, and over 44.5. Vikings Cardinals for me. Ed's got Rams minus 2.5, which he stole from Bruce. Vikings minus 3.5 against my Cards, and under 44.5 Bills and Niners. And Pearl's picks are on the screen. Bucks, Rams, Eagles, all NFC selections. As we close out today's show, it was fun, Ed, and we'll do it again in December. A month to remember.
Last day of November. Everybody get ready. Here comes December, and it's going to be cold for a bit.
We'll see if Ed has been nice or naughty. Last week, Santa Claus told him he's going to get something. We'll find out. We're getting closer to December 25th. Have a great sports weekend, and we'll talk to you next time right here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, exclusively on Cova Sports TV. Enjoy.